Meeting to order, the city,
It's 5:30.
I'm sorry, 5 o'clock, 5:30. All right, now that everybody's awake. I'm gonna call the City of Osage Beach Board of Aldermen meeting to order, March 21st, 2024. If you all please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. Roll call, please.
Alderman Osteen? Alderman Morose? Here. Alderman Ross?
Here.
Alderman Rucker?
Here.
Alderman Schuman? Alderman Hoffman?
Here.
Mayor Hermanson?
Here.
Here.
All right, first we're going to move on to the citizens' communications. This is a time set aside on the agenda for citizens and visitors to address the mayor and board on any topic that is not a public hearing. For those here in person, speakers will be restricted to 3 minutes unless otherwise permitted. Minutes may not be donated or transferred from one speaker to another. Any questions or comments for the mayor and the board may also be sent to the city clerk at tberreth@osagebeach.org no later than 10 a.m. on the board meeting day, the first and third Thursday of each month. Submitted questions and comments may be read during the citizens' communications section of the agenda. The Board of Aldermen will not take any action on any item not listed on the agenda, nor will it respond to questions, although staff may be directed to respond at a later time. The Mayor and the Board of Aldermen welcome and value input and feedback from the public. And first of all, I just want to address that the first part of this has to do with any general questions or comments related to any event. However, if you are here for the public hearing on the water, which I assume most of you are, all of that will be under the new business for public hearing. So I'll ask at this time, other than information about the water and sewer schedule, if there's anyone here who in person who would like to address the board on any other topic. If you would, please come on up and sign in. All right, seeing none.
Oh. Hurry up.
Yes, sir.
Hello, my name is Fred Catcott, and I'm representing the Elks Veterans Committee tonight. And I know one of the things on the agenda, hopefully, is the Veterans Memorial that we're planning out in front of the building. Just want to reiterate that this is going to be a great thing for the city. We're one of the few cities that does not have a Veterans Memorial. If you go to California, you go to any of these other towns, Lake Ozark, these towns all have Veterans Memorials. We have a lot of veterans here, and I think they're going to be real proud to have this in front of our city hall and have a part of that. We're selling bricks with people's names, branch of service, years of service. You can buy it for yourself. You can buy it for your father, your uncle, your mother, if they were in the service. Or you can even buy a brick that says, "We proudly support veterans." And it'll be on the floor of this memorial. And we've been working on this a long time. Mike Welty has bent over backwards for the city to help us with this, and Cochran Engineering, and it's probably coming to fruition here. And I just want to hope everybody supports this. We'll think about you at the next war. So, yes, thank you.
Thank you. All right, other than the water and sewer rates, is there anybody that'd like to speak on any other matters? All right, very good. All right, first we're going to move on to the consent agenda. Has the board had a chance to review the minutes from the March 7th, 2024 meeting and the bills list for March 21st? And is the liquor license all in order?
Well, not exactly, Mr. Mayor. I'm not exactly sure how to interpret this, but the collector, Brad Smith, is not in favor of it, nor is Chief Davis, I believe. And member Susan Ebling is. So I am in favor of it, so I don't know if that means we need to table it tonight or,
No, you don't have to table it, just put it up to the board and let them decide.
okay, then that's exactly what I'd like to do.
All right, let's go ahead and go to the minutes. Let's do these one at a time, please. Let's do the minutes of the Board of Aldermen, March 7th, 2024. Do I have any comments or questions on the March 7th minutes? All right, seeing none. I'm sorry, Alderman Rucker.
I would just make a motion to approve them as they have been amended from what was mailed out to the board.
Very good. All right, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Alderman Ross. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. The minutes of the board meeting March 7th have been approved. Next, we have the bills list for 2021. Any comments or questions on the bills list from the board? Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Alderman Ross. Do I have a second?
Second.
Alderman Morose. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the bills list has been passed. Now, moving on to the liquor license. What did you want to do, Alderman Hoffman?
Put it out to a vote to the board.
All right, and why is it not in order?
It's not that it's not in order, it's that myself and member Ebling are both in favor of it being open to liquor, not just beer and wine. And the other two members are not in favor of it. So I think it's best that the board decides.
All right,
Page 33 will give that explanation.
I'm sorry?
Page 33 gives that explanation.
All right. All right, does somebody from the board want to make a motion to
I have a
approve?
question.
Yes, sir, Alderman Rucker.
So the letter that has been presented to us by Chief Davis is in error?
Honestly,
says-
I changed my opinion on it. Originally, I had mentioned, and this was really just in light conversation at the beginning of the meeting, but I had said that I wasn't really in favor of having liquor down there, but after I've had time to kind of assess it, I don't see much of a difference of whether they drink 2 glasses of wine or 1 vodka tonic. So I've kind of changed my opinion on it, so I'm in favor of it being an open liquor license.
All right, seeing that, do I have a motion to approve the liquor license?
Can I ask a question?
Yes, sir, Alderman Ross.
Do we sell just beer and wine or 5% type stuff now, or do we sell liquor down there now? Because I know we've been selling something.
We gave up our liquor license, but prior to that, we just sold beer and like wine coolers. We did not sell hard alcohol.
Is that microphone on? I can barely.
Yes, it is.
Okay. We did not sell or hard liquor, for lack of a better term. We've never done that before.
We've never done that before.
Ross, our liquor license was only a 5% liquor license.
Correct.
Okay. All right, good. So we don't have any experience with this yet.
I would encourage the board to keep in mind that we are a park and not just a sports complex whenever you make your decision. So,
Alderman Hoffman.
Well, I understand the concerns on the issue. We have partnered up with Ballparks of America. I think, in my opinion, we need to give them an opportunity to succeed, and they feel like this is a vital part of their business platform, and that's why I changed my opinion on it.
Alderman Rucker.
Mayor, if you don't mind, I think we have a lot of people, obviously, in the audience that may not understand what's going on here, and just like to give them just a little brief history. The city at the city park has run a park for a long, long time and have sold alcohol, beer, and wine. We, this year, have signed an agreement with an organization called Ballpark National, that they will be taking over the operation of the games and the concession stand. They have applied for a liquor license to sell alcohol, whiskey, and et cetera. So that's what the issue is we are now determining if we want to allow that or not. So I just wanted to help the audience. I've seen some people out there like kind of maybe a little confused on how or what, but hopefully that'll just give them a better understanding. And while I have the floor, I guess the other question or other comment I have is that this is a one-year liquor license, is it not?
Correct.
Okay, and we also have a one-year agreement with Ballpark National.
It's 1 year. We have the option to renew it, but they're only guaranteed 1 year, and the board would need to vote to renew it.
So if, and I say that very big, if we would approve the full liquor license, we would have the option to make that a part of the agreement with them next year, that they cannot sell that alcohol down there, could only do beer and wine. So we have an opportunity.
It's a detail that was simple, the agreement we signed was simply silent. It wasn't something that anybody raised during the negotiations. But yes, if we didn't allow it this year, we could always allow it next year. If we do allow it this year, we can always disallow it next year.
Also, how difficult is it for us to change it midstream?
This year,
3 months go down the road and we've had a lot of issues.
Tough.
And we want to pull their license.
tough. Not impossible, but tough.
I'll mention to the board that this falls in line with the current liquor license they have out at Osage Beach National. So if they go out, Ballparks National, so if somebody goes out there and they have a tournament and they want to have a Bloody Mary at 11 o'clock in the morning, then have one. And they would like to have the same menu at both venues, and I'll just let you know, it just falls in line with what they've done for the last several years.
And if I could, I thought this issue was a little bit unfair for me to just stop it. I thought it was more fair for the board and the mayor to have their say and this come all the way to the board rather than just stop at the committee.
Any other comments or questions? Alderman Osteen.
I just want clarification regarding the liquor license. The hard alcohol sales would fall under insurance liability for Ballpark National, correct?
Correct.
So basically, the city is not on the line for over-serving, et cetera, et cetera.
It's their license,
On
yes.
their license.
Yep.
Just wanted to clarify.
All right, if there's no other comments or questions, I have a motion from the board to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve the full liquor license.
All right, very good. Do I have a second?
I will second.
Alderman Osteen. Let's go ahead and do a roll call, please.
Alderman Rucker?
No.
Alderman Ross?
Yes.
Alderman Morose?
No.
Alderman Osteen?
Yes.
Alderman Hoffman?
Yes.
Alderman Schuman?
Motion fails.
You could entertain
Actually, motion passes.
partial, or you could let it go to next.
No, that's good.
We need 4 tonight.
I'm sorry?
The motion failed because it was, we needed 4.
Need 4 votes no
All
matter
four
what.
tonight. All right, moving next on to unfinished business. We have Bill 24-09, and this is a mouthful, folks, so bear with me. What do we got here?
We can either have another motion to approve the partial, or we can table it to another time.
Excuse me, point.
Alderman Rucker.
We, three votes passes it. Ordinances need 4.
Right, that's what I thought.
Regular motions only need 3.
That's what I
Simple majority.
Yeah, you're right.
Simple
I'm sorry.
majority.
You're right.
You're correct.
You're correct. I was thinking of 4.
Ordinances are 4.
Yep, you're right.
Good catch.
It passes.
Okay,
Sorry, you
I've
guys.
let that be up, that the portion that was against it made sure that it passed.
Yeah, thank you.
very good.
Point of interest.
All right, so, trust me, folks, it really is normally not this bad.
It's getting good.
So, interesting night just begun.
This is confusing me out there.
All right, so anyway, the liquor license has passed.
Yes, it has.
And the reason it's confusion, normally we have 6 board members, and if one is absent, generally it has to be a 4-2, and with the liquor license, it's apparently a 3 majority.
Yes.
Motions.
Motions are 3. Yes.
Very good, all right. Now, this is the unfinished business. This one takes a while to read, and I have to read it all, so I apologize. This is Bill 24-09, an ordinance of the City of Osage Beach, Missouri, amending Chapter 610, Peddlers and Solicitors, Section 610.010, definition, Section 610.030, identification card requirement for peddlers and solicitors available for canvassers, Section 610.040, fees, Section 610.050, application for identification card, Section 610.060, contents of application, Section 610.070, issuance of identification card, Section 610.090, denial administrative revocation, Section 610.100, hearing on appeal. Section 610.130, revocation of card. Section 610.160, violation to be prosecuted as trespass. Added Section 610.170, additional requirements for mobile food establishment, purposes of the city code for various purposes as set forth. This is the second reading. City Attorney Cole Bradbury, please.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the board. After our discussion last board meeting, I made the changes that we discussed at that meeting, which include the language out of, I believe it was the marijuana ordinance, to bring this in line with that as far as the consent of the landowner. You'll find that in a couple different locations. Other than that, this is as presented and as approved at the last meeting, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Comments, questions from the board? Alderman Osteen.
Once again, just for clarification purposes, section 610.060, 11D, that is the verbiage that I had asked regarding the rightful owner of the property who gives consent for the food truck, correct? That is where
That's the new language I mentioned. So
Okay.
that is copied and pasted quite literally out of the marijuana ordinance that you approved 11 months ago, and it's the exact same process we're using for the marijuana ordinance.
All right, thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Alderman Rucker.
Yes, I have a couple. First of all, in reference to 610.06011 that Alderman Osteen was talking about, I did a little research, talked with some food truck associations in other parts of the state, and was fortunate enough a couple weeks ago to be in another state and talk to some people down in Florida. Common language is the taxpayer. That's the person who has to approve. That's some common language that's used. So that's one of the reasons that I brought it up, that I wanted that, and that's one of the reasons why I have a problem with this ordinance. Item 2, the 610.170, the 200 feet within from other properties and businesses. I have a real difficult problem with that, mainly because I feel that we are being discriminated, or we are discriminating against the food trucks. Number one, we don't tell the catering services how far back or how far they have to be away from some other business that is also selling food. We don't tell the flea market, the farmer's market. We don't tell the Girl Scout cookie sellers that they can't sell cookies in front of Walmart because they're within so many feet. We don't tell the Boy Scouts because they're selling popcorn that's within so many feet. I don't think we should tell any of them. I don't think we should tell these people. I don't think we need to be telling the food truck people that they can't be within 200 feet. They should be able to be where they are allowed to be by our zoning. I think we're discriminating against this. This is an area that government does not belong in. It's not our responsibility to regulate competition, and that's what we're doing here, regulating competition. We regulate the safety of our schools and our churches when we deal with marijuana and alcohol sales, but we do not regulate, that is not regulating competition. So I believe this is an error that we are stepping into. I would also mention that we've been advised by our staff that this is a slippery area for us to be in. They don't feel comfortable if we have to go into litigation, that it's an area that they don't feel comfortable with, and we've been advised by them. So I will be opposing this bill. I think that I mentioned most of these items at the last meeting. I have since done a little more research, and I still feel against it. And I think that this needs to go down, this needs to be changed and come back. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve second reading? Alderman Ross, do I have a second?
Second.
Alderman Hoffman, let's do roll call, please.
Alderman Osteen?
Yes.
Alderman Morose?
No.
Alderman Ross?
Yes.
Alderman Rucker?
No.
Alderman Schuman? Alderman Hoffman?
Yes.
It failed.
Now, this one does fail.
That does fail.
So, All right. Next, our last item on unfinished business is Bill 24-14, an ordinance of the City of Osage Beach, Missouri, amending ordinance number 23.90, adopting the 2024 annual operating budget transfer of funds for recruitment costs. This is the second reading. City Administrator Gina Woods, please.
Yes, Mayor, members of the board, as the mayor said, this is the second reading. I do not have any further information, but I'm happy to answer questions.
All right, comments or questions? Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve?
A motion to approve.
Alderman Rucker, do I have a second?
Second.
Alderman Morose, roll call, please.
Alderman Hoffman.
Yes.
Alderman Schuman. Alderman Rucker.
Yes.
Alderman Ross.
Yes.
Alderman Morose.
yes,
Alderman Osteen.
Yes.
All right, Bill 24-14 passes. All right, is our clock going there?
I will here in 2 seconds.
All right,
When you start.
we're going to move on to our public hearing. This proposed water and sewer user rate schedule changes. After our city administrator does her thing, then that'll be the time that I'll call for people to come up, and you'll have an opportunity to speak for up to 3 minutes. So Gina Woods, please.
Yes, Mayor, members of the board. The information in your packet is nearly the same as was presented back to you all in January at your last discussion. I know this item's been discussed during budget workshops, but January is where the last in-depth conversation took place. I'll repeat a little bit of kind of a summary since there's many folks here interested in that. So as I stated in the last summary sheet, we had a lot of activity since the late 2021. We did have a rate increase in early 23 based on data from early fall of 2022. In 2023, at that time, let me back up, at that time we had discussed that depending on how trends were happening with expenses. Since early 22, we have not been immune to inflation and some other cost effects on our prices of products. The basket of goods that was this in early 22 compared to at the end of 23 was nearly 13% higher. So in addition with that, supply chain issues, we did have some unexpected or increases above historical trends on the O&M and personnel. But the two areas that are making up the majority of these rate increases, water and sewer we evaluate separately, but I have provided sample billing of them aggregately. So water as it stands right now is showing a 35% for, and when I'm comparing to a 5/8-inch meter residential 5,000 gallon user. That's about our average residential single family or apartment user. Sewer does have a little bigger hit at 78, so aggregately an individual bill will go up 56%. So let me break down where that 56% come from. So in addition to inflationary supply and demand and those economic factors that we were not immune to anyone else in our nation, state, area, we also had unexpected breakages and some other things go on as well. We were fortunate to have reserves, which is why we have reserves, to fill those financial gaps and kind of level out that economic conflict that we went through. And we have always subsidized our rates with CIT subsidy, and there was an indication from the board that that was to be ceased. So there's two parts of that when I talk about the average 56% increase. The CIT portion, I'll kind of start and work myself backwards. Over the past decades, we have on and off went from anywhere from 26 to 28% subsidy in the water fund. That obviously goes up and down, that's an average. In the sewer fund, CID subsidy has been anywhere from 47 to 50%. Our ordinance and ballot language first and foremost covers debt, and that has always been the case. We are about to finish out our debt when we built the systems back in the late 80s and early 90s. That's very exciting. We'll pay our last water bond off cash flow wise 2026 or 2025, and then the last one, sewer payment, will go out 2026. So that CIT strictly for debt has been declining, but the CIT has remained, again for water, about 26, 28% to cover maintenance, capital, operation, and those type of things. All the while we have been maintaining reserves in that. And then in sewer, like I said, 47 to 50%. So in addition to that piece, so the 56%, the piece that is contributed to, the intent to decrease, substantially decrease or eliminate CIT is about 27% of that 56% increase. So the remainder of that 56% increase is twofold. One, kind of adjusting forecast. We hope inflation goes down and we hope that we don't continue on this path, but that, and also to replenish our reserves. So specifically, we have, let me explain reserves a little bit without getting too wordy. Sorry, I meant to keep this 5 minutes or less. To explain reserves, we have a requirement with DNR to maintain a certain amount of reserves. In addition, we have a reserve policy that the board put in place back in 2017, I believe. So we have a reserve policy that we also are maintaining per ordinance. So those reserves have done its purpose, but now we have found that we are in the 30 and 40 percentile of filling those reserves, and where we've tried to maintain anywhere from 80 to 90% of that. So they were there when we needed them, but in addition to increase the cost or increase even in timing and projects that we need to get done, the reserves themselves that we set aside for water needs to increase about 40%, and the reserves we set aside each year for sewer is about the same. But when I say percentages, sewer is a bigger dollar. So I guess there's two directions when we get to the ordinances that I would need, but the rates that are put before you, as to recap, does two things. One, it brings us back to where we need on reserves, all else being equal, and to absorb some of the inflationary increases. And then the other half of that increase is the direction in January to significantly decrease or eliminate CIT reserves. So to explain our CIT subsidies and to explain that for those, we first identify our costs that we need to cover, and it's not just based on historical, but based on forecasted information that the departments have. And then we identify any revenue sources that are incoming into to cover the identified costs with some growth factor. I don't do past more than 2-3 years anymore, but I try to keep the growth factor about what inflation is. And then identify additional monies that can cover those expenses. And that can be interest income, sales of equipment, those things that are kind of ongoing but fluctuate depending. We are in an interest favorable market, so we have seen that. But again, I don't forecast that may always be the same. And then your CIT tax that goes into that. And then the expenses to be covered that's left is what then is figured out on what the rates need to be to cover those expenses. So those are kind of the tiered approach. So if you take away a revenue source, then another revenue source needs to make up for that. And at this point, it's the rates. The rates are equitable across users. Users are based on size and demand, so based on your water meter, how much demand is that, and those are equitable. That's required as DNR2, that they're fair and equitable, and that they are under a certain, under a certain percent of the median household income per EPA. And those rates do match all that. I will entertain any questions before you open if you would like me to. If not, I'll pass it on to you.
All right. Okay, well, now's the time. There's a public hearing. Well, if you would like to speak, please come on up, sign in. You'll have 3 minutes.
You gotta run the time.
Yep.
Somebody should start at the top of the list, or we just...
Oh, if you've already signed up, yeah, go ahead, yes. I'm sorry.
I'm already signed up.
Okay, perfect, just come on up then.
Hi, my name's Rick Buttram, and I'm going to stay narrowly focused on the non-resident, or outside city non-metered sewer system because I represent Oak Creek off KK. Just some quick numbers to go along. I know the aggregate says 85% total increase for sewer. In reality, for residents that live outside the city, for non-metered, that's actually 110% increase, which is a significant increase. Using the U.S. Geological Survey data at their maximum, our neighborhood, which has 37 homes, one's being built, 81 residents, in 2023, we would have used approximately, and I'm just using it's estimated data here, 2,956,500 gallons of water if we were metered. That comes out to be 0.83% of the effluent that goes into the city system. That's less than 1%, and we're being asked to pay 110% increase. So that's pretty much all I have to say, but that's a pretty high amount for very little impact. And we're gravity flow down to your system. So,
All right, thank you.
thank you.
And I don't know who's at the top of the list, but I'm sorry, that was a great point. If we can start at the top of the list, if you're up there. If you know the order, please follow it. If not, just be organized.
Well, I'm fairly new to the area. I just moved here a year ago, and I'm voicing my concern regarding this large increase in sewer and water for my property. I water my lawn 5 months during the summertime, and you're already charging me $123 extra for the sewer that's not going in the sewer. And for this last year, with this 85% increase, it'll increase my sewer fee to a total of $227, and which I'm not using during the summertime, the sewer. Also, with the water increase, my total extra with this large increase will be a total of close to $400 for the year. And for a person that's just mainly living off of Social Security, that's really too high of an increase. And the government only gave me a $55 a month increase on Social Security, and with all the other increases with food and gasoline, all these things, that just doesn't cover it. And I guess I'm going to have to quit watering my lawn, because you're already punishing me for charging me for the sewer when it's just going on the lawn. And I just don't believe that this is the way to go. I could see a small increase, but not an 85% increase, especially in the summer months when I'm trying to water and keep my lawn looking nice. I live in Dogwood Estates, and most of the properties look nice in there. And so anyway, and I already talked to my alderman over here, and I said, if you guys decide to put this 85% increase in, I'm going to have to vote you out. And I hate to do that. And I'm just kind of upset over this large increase. It needs to be smaller.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to thank the board for the opportunity to present information from homeowners. I am just a private homeowner in out of county. I am Class A, flat rate, non-metered sewer. The same gentleman said that 110%. Our current rate is $52.58, and it's going up to $110, which is a $57 plus increase. When I could research from January 16th to May 23, when the last rate increase, it went up over that 7-year span about $7. So that's $1 a month. And so we're asking for 1 year to go up $60 for us a month. Everything is going up, but I would ask that you spread it out over 5 years at least. If we're increasing that amount, that's everybody. They could spread it out, it would be appreciated. We appreciate the service, but at the same time, there's got to be a balance between cost and service. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, if I could, is it possible that whoever finishes maybe says who the next name is?
That's a very good idea.
Well, I don't know what the other names were that came up.
All right, then check them off as they go. That'd be good.
My name is Matthew Mays. I've been here now 3 years. And I guess what I'd like to say is this. First off, I have a nephew here that used to own a resort and couldn't find a person to work in the resort because of the amount of money they offered. There's a lot of difficulty finding places for people of low income to live, and now we're going to make it difficult to pay their water bill. In 2017, Michigan University did a study, and they found out that 1 in 10 people couldn't afford their water bill. I wonder, and of course, that causes default. That default has to be paid for. That gets turned back on the people who can pay for their water bill, which makes it higher again. The other thing is I recognize that throughout the United States, inflation has been higher for water and sewer than it has been for any other item. However, a lot of that is due to the fact that people have kind of sat on their laurels, if you will, and not planned for the future, and now they're trying to play catch-up to replace all the old and antiquated systems that they have. And so I would encourage the city to look at their planning and look at their budget and see what they've got set aside each year in order for preventive maintenance and replacement, rather than catch up, if you would. And the last thing is that while the percentage of inflation has been going up, most of the increases have been 8 to 6%, not 85%. That doesn't bode well for, when people look at management of the city and they say, why are we going up 85% and everybody else is going up 8 and 6%? So I would just encourage the city to look a little closer at this and see if there's other alternatives. And also, as the young lady pointed out here, I water my lawn too. That doesn't go in the sewer, but I'm charged for it like it does. So there's a little imbalance there that I think needs to be resolved. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Fred, you're asking me.
Very good, thank you.
Well, my name's Fred Catcott again, and I agree with the gentleman who was just up here. This should have been thought out a long time ago if there was going to be this type of a raise. It's ridiculous. I mean, there are a lot of people in this town that live on Social Security. And for you that have big jobs and big money, Social Security for a lot of these people is like $1,000. $1,200 a month is what they're living on. You put double the water bill and sewer bill, gas has gone up, electric's gone up, everything has gone up. You're going to have people eating peanut butter and jelly and beans because they can't pay their damn sewer and water bill. The cost of living goes up anywhere from 3.5% to about 7% a year. If you raised this 3.5% to 7% per year, people could get along with that because it's a cost of living increase, because they get that in their Social Security. But they don't get 100%. Nobody gets 100% of nothing around here. It's going to be tough on a lot of people. And if you need to pass a bond to get more money, put it up for election to the people that live in this city. Vote on a new bond to cover the expenses that you need to cover and pay them over 10 or 15 years. But 100% increase on a utility is way out of sight. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, my name is Mike Burbank, and I'm the owner of Quick Car here in Osage Beach in Camdenton. I realize that the increase is relative to usage. It's not my argument. I guess I wanted to come here tonight to just voice the fact that I've got 11 car and truck washes that use the similar amount of water located in 3 different states. And aggregately, as well as on a cost per car basis, Osage Beach currently stands at the most expensive of my 11 sites as it stands now. And with this increase, I'm going to go from approximately $44,000 in water and sewer bills from 2023 to anywhere from 50 to 86% more. I mean, that's staggering. So I just wanted to come here tonight to, make it be known that this is a big jump, and I wish that you guys would, consider as everybody else has said, a more staggered approach. I realize costs are going up everywhere. Inflationary costs are crippling, labor costs are tough. I understand that, but this is a big number, so thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? We don't know where we are on the list, so come on up.
My name is Jim Snyder.
Excuse me, hold on, Jim. Hand him the mic. Hand Jim the mic.
Hold a mic, Jim. Usually people can hear me, but okay. I previously served as an alderman a couple of times in the city and as mayor for 6 years. So I have a little understanding of how rate structure has always been built in the past. I tried to get a complete understanding of where things were. I tried to get a copy of the water and sewer rate review that I expected had been completed and given to the board before this item ever appeared on the agenda, but I was told there wasn't one available. So I'm not sure what the proposed rates are really based on, except vague ideas. Last year's rate increases of 11% and 13% seemed excessive at the time, but this proposed rate increase of 34% and 85% is just over the top. I've never heard of a utility with this kind of a rate increase at one time. I keep hearing how the systems are getting so old. A 20-year-old water system and a 40-year-old sewer system that are being well maintained are not old. Systems that are old have clay and iron pipes and have been around 80 to 100 years, and cities are running them and having big expenses. We have a pretty modern water system in this town. For a little history, for anyone who hasn't been around here for the last 40 years, back in the 80s, it was clear that this little city of 2,000 people couldn't afford to build the sewer system that was desperately needed and pay for it with just user fees. When the city asked the voters to pass the bond issue to build the sewer system, they also asked them to pass a capital improvement sales tax with a pledge that the tax money would go to pay off the bond debt and pay for future capital improvements and capital expenses of the sewer system. When 1999 rolled around and it became very clear that a water system along with fire suppression capabilities was needed, by that time, the capital improvement sales tax collections had increased quite a bit, and a lot of the sewer system debt was paid off. So again, the voters were asked to pass a water bond issue with a pledge from the city that the extra money from the CIT would go to pay off the bond debt and pay for future capital improvements and capital expenses of the water system. My understanding, all the bonds will still have 2 years to go, but we're already talking about eliminating the capital improvements tax from paying for those bonds. And we're also talking about eliminating them from all capital expenditures. That flies in the face of all the commitments the city made to the voters on both elections. Without the sewer and water system, Osage Beach never would have seen the growth in commercial development that we have today. But the load of paying for it shouldn't fall totally on the residents. So now to just decide to use a capital improvement sales tax for other things and raise utility rates to make up the difference is only unfair but wrong. I understand the city administrator has given notice and she is leaving. My recommendation to the board would be to conduct a nationwide search for a very experienced city administrator with a lot of background in public works. Once this person is on board and dives into the job, they should be able to give the board the much needed guidance on what has to be done to get the water and sewer system straightened out and the rates under control. To change rates now without a clear grasp and understanding of what is needed would be a huge mistake. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name's Roger Rand. I appreciate the opportunity, I appreciate the opportunity to address you. the costs that we are seeing, or inflation that we're seeing everywhere, is 6, 8, 10, 12%. And to see this type of an increase for something everybody has to have, you don't have any choice on it, just seems ridiculous. Osage Beach also has at best, or at worst, 100 homes and maybe in the thousands of homes that don't even have a resident in them a good portion of the time. They're paying year-round and not even using a system. So I think there's some problems in how everything has been calculated and what's happening with the costs here. Something is not right. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just was bringing an illustration. My name is Maggie Schaefer. I have the Quail's Nest Motel. Right now. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Maggie Schaefer. I have the Quail's Nest Motel. Right now, I'm at non-metered in city. The rate is $738.84. With your price increase, that'll go to $1,477.68 a month. Per year, that's going to be $17,732.16 just to flush the toilets on 56 motel rooms. I think that's a heavy-handed blow. That's all.
Thank you.
Hi, thanks for being here tonight. Nathan Springfield. So my question is, the information that I've learned over the last year or so, I know Mrs. Woods has touched on some of where the money and stuff goes. My question is what I've heard, that there's no maintenance crew for the sewer for maintaining it. They fix it as it breaks, especially the pumps and things for the sewer system. Pipe was installed wrong during the bypass going through Osage for the interstate. It's the wrong pipe. It's a metal system, metal flex. They've scoped from Harley-Davidson all the way down to Menards and found multiple issues. They have a 5-year plan to work this over and fix it. And I've heard this from Kevin, who actually got fired, I think. And, Mike confirmed a lot of this stuff, told me the same thing. So I'm wondering, I heard this 4 months ago, is this massive increase because of problems that the sewer system is having that the money needs to go towards with all the breaks and all the issues, the more smells that we smell around town? Or is it just, like you said, more of a future planning issue? Thanks.
Thank you very much. Would anybody else like to speak during the public hearing? We're going to be visiting about this for the first bill, but now's your time.
My name is Brad Smith. I live down in Dogwood Park. My sewer and water bill right now, I use about 5,000 gallons a month. My bills are roughly $50 a month. You're already raising it 50%. It's going to go up to around $86. To water my yard, it's going to cost me roughly $50 a month during the summer to just water my yard and not use the sewer at all.
Thank you very much.
Hello, Mayor.
Good evening.
Members of the board. I have roots in this community. Alderman Hoffman, I think my brother graduated or went to school with you.
Yes.
I graduated with Alderman Rose's son. Many faces on the board I recognize. I served with Alderman Rucker during my 8-year tenure here as a board member. Known Richard Ross for 20-plus years now. My concern is with the spreadsheets that we're seeing, it doesn't show the transparency of what goes into those rates. We've heard some discrepancy between percentages of what it's actually costing people. What I would encourage the board and the mayor to consider is allowing us to see the spreadsheets that are used that go into calculating these rates. It's the devil in the details, as I like to say. Just ask you to be transparent, provide those spreadsheets of 23 and 24 rates that were used in these rate increases. That allows the public to actually see what numbers were put into these rates and how they're being manipulated and calculated. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone else?
My name is Amber Randazzo. I reside in Osage Beach. We rent. Our landlords do not live here. They have no idea what's going on, so I show up for them, and I also show up for my daughter. The rate that's increased, is it gonna stay that way, or is it gonna go back down? Because time she's old enough to get her own place, how much more is gonna be added to that? I don't ever want my daughter to feel like water or food. You don't want that for your kids. So it's more of a future thing. If you raise it, our children are gonna suffer if we raise it this much, this quick, because it's gonna keep on raising and keep on raising. That's all I can say. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
My name's Dan Smith. I live in Oak Creek as well, which we're unmetered. We're outside of the city limits. So that puts us at the worst place. Obviously, you give the residents of the city a better rate. I don't know why, but you do. Apparently, you know, our two-person home can't produce enough to make that much difference. But we support the city in our purchases, our tax money, all that stuff that we pay for. And I just don't feel like it's right. We're not represented here. We have nothing to say about it. And so we're basically at your beck and call because you decide to do this. I don't feel that it's right that your residents don't pay the same rates. I mean, we're penalized just because we're outside of the city, but they do the same thing we do. They sit on the toilet. I mean, it's basic, but that's all I got to say.
All right, thank you.
I'm Doug Conway. I'm out of city resident in Tantera Estates. Ms. Woods had mentioned some things in there that I think got glossed over, and I wanted to ask the board specific questions here. Looking at the 20 and 24 budget for the sewer department, we have $3.287 million coming from our fees. Multiply that by 1.85, those fees go up to over $6 million. We were getting funds transferred in from the CIF at $5.6 million. Where are those funds going to go when you get this additional revenue? Are you charging us more taxes, or are you going to give that tax back to us? Are we reducing the CIF fund so when I go out and pay for my shirt at the little outlet mall over here, or some other tax that I'm paying for my sales tax? Are you taking that back now and we're not going to have to pay that? Or are you effectively taking a tax rate by diverting those funds to other things and taking a tax rate increase through our fees that we're paying to the sewer? Our rates are going up. So it's interesting to look and hear that it was talked about being inflation, but it's not. You guys are diverting the funds that were going into the fund to another place, and you didn't tell us where that other funds, where are those funds coming when you get that additional $3 million? Are we going to suddenly up our budget from $10 million to $13 million once these rate increases go? Or is those funds going to another capital improvement project that you haven't told us about?
Thank you. Anyone else? All right. Anyone coming up? All right.
I'm Mike Blaine. I live on Sunset Drive. And I guess my biggest concern was where this money, extra money that we get for these new rates, we had it coming from somewhere before. So where is that money going to be used? Is this something to support maybe the airport, which probably most of us residents don't use? Or is it doing something to improve parks, which maybe some of us say, making some special improvements in a park, maybe we would rather our rates stay lower. So my feeling would be, you supposedly have a survey coming out here in the next month or so. Why don't you put a question on there to ask the people, the residents, where they would rather see the money go? If they all say, hey, we want to see these park improvements, airport improvements, all this, and let our rates go up, then fine, I'll be along with that. But I think you at least need to ask the residents what they would prefer. So I'd ask you to hold off at least until you do that survey and get some feedback with some questions on there. That's all I got to say.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, before I ask for a motion to close public hearing, I do want to stress that this is why we have a public hearing. When I go on the radio on Monday, the last 2 Mondays, I want to hear from people. The board wants to hear from people. So they wrote a bill tonight to discuss, but before they discuss it, and I know many of the aldermen have been in my office telling me they've been out talking to their constituents. So I hope you don't feel like it's just we don't care. The reason we have this public hearing is because we do care. So we appreciate all of your comments tonight, and hopefully you'll stick around because we'll be discussing this quite a bit more yet as soon as we close public hearing. Anybody else want to say anything before we ask for a motion to close public hearing? All right, do I have a motion to close public hearing? Alderman Rucker, do I have a second?
Second.
Alderman Morose, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right. All right, public hearing is closed. We're going to move on to Bill 24-12, an ordinance of the City of Osage Beach, Missouri, amending Chapter 710 Sewers and Sewer Systems, Article 7 User Charge System, Section 710.470 Rate Schedule. This is the first reading. City Administrator Gina Woods, please.
Yes, Mayor, members of the board. This, again, is actually the formal bill of the ordinance that was presented to you in draft form following your discussions and directions from January. I'm happy to answer any further questions.
Clarification just for those out there is the way this generally works. So this is the first reading, so nothing happens tonight. The board will discuss it. They'll either pass it, fail it. They'll kick a can down the road, discuss it. But whatever happens tonight is the first reading. So just so you know, it's not finalized. So with that being said, comments or questions from the board?
Let's start.
Alderman Osteen.
Guess I'll start this off. I just got a few comments. I'm going to address some of the things that were said by some of the people that are in the attendance tonight. First of all, I want to talk about, you guys probably didn't see these numbers, but it goes back to the packet we were given, page 62, actually, a comparison report regarding our rates compared to Camden, Eldon, Lake Ozark, et cetera. I just want to state that I don't believe this is comparing apples to apples. We can look at the rates that are being charged by the surrounding communities, but once again, that's not a definitive picture of what their systems are compared to our systems. Number one, that doesn't take into account the age of their systems versus ours, the usage, number of citizens utilizing those systems, the number of miles of water and sewer lines that need to be maintained and that are operational. So I just want to point that out, that I don't believe that's a fair assessment when people look at the comparison study and say, well, wait a minute, Camden only charges this much, OCHB charges this much, because once again, it's not apples to apples. Number two, I want to address a few comments that were made regarding out-of-city rates, as well as where is money going. In a nutshell, the out-of-city limit rates are exceptionally higher than in-city for a few reasons. One of the biggest ones is the majority of the issues the city is having with their water and sewer systems are those systems that are out of city limits. As a reminder, we are facing a $10 million bill to replace the water and sewer systems at Tantera Estates. Is that fair to allot that to evenly to all residents? Or is it fair to basically allow that increase to pay for the repairs that are needed there to the citizens that are utilizing those systems that are outside the city limits? That kind of gives you an idea, number one, of why there's a discrepancy in city versus out-of-city rates, as well as people are saying, where's this money going when we increase the rates? Once again, we're facing a $10 million bill we don't know how to pay for. So the only way we can basically pay for that is to turn that on to the citizens or the residents that are using those systems. The third point I want to make out is the water and sewer systems are not self-sufficient. Basically, the costs to maintain them far exceed the costs that we charge residents to use them. Year over year, those systems run in a deficit. And how do we pay for that deficit? Basically, we're utilizing reserves that are set aside for those systems, or we're allocating money that would go to other departments for other reasons to subsidize those systems. So basically, we have come to a point where we no longer have those funds to keep subsidizing our water and sewer systems, so therefore, what are our options? I would love to have somebody give me a viable option and say, how do basically we subsidize those systems now without trying to turn those costs over to our citizens? We're kind of back to a corner there. Yes, Mr. Cars?
Yeah, all right, no.
No.
Okay, this is time, and with all due respect, this is not a back and forth. We've just finished the public hearing, and these are comments and questions from the board, but.
So, the system's run at a deficit year over year, and that deficit just continues to grow, especially as systems age out. Basically, systems need to be significantly repaired or replaced, and as the community continues to grow, there's more usage on those systems, as well as the city needing to expand those systems. So that kind of gives you an idea on why this all came about. Not necessarily saying I'm in favor of these drastic changes, but I just want to give you an idea on my thought process on why our only viable option is to increase these rates. That's all I have to say.
All right. Alderman Morose.
I would just like to say, obviously on behalf of the board, we are your representatives. We have a fiduciary responsibility of operating the city with the money. And it's a very, very tough challenge. Without a doubt, as Alderman Osteen just mentioned, our sewer system and water system is old. And as we go by every year, we always have to replace lines or pumps or whatever. We're looking at right now to replacing 15 pumps. And there's other items among the sewer that needs to be replaced. That's neither here or there, just the idea is, am I in favor of this 80-some%? I'll say right now, no, I am not. If I was not on the board and I'd be out there, I would be just like you and coming up to the microphone. It doesn't seem fair. Surely there's some way that I hope that we can average out and get our costs, get our expenses taken care of by averaging them out over a period of time and not gouge everybody with such a high percentage rate. And that's all I got to say.
Alderman Ross?
Sure, I'll go next. I just want to say up front that no one here wants to raise anybody's rates 90%, okay? So the question is, how do we get here? And some of the ways that we got here, I think, some of it's been talked about, but generally, it's not an old system. I agree with you, Mr. Snyder, but it is aging, okay? Our costs are way up, and to try to talk about their costs, to give you some reference, our revenue, water and sewer revenues are up since 2019 about 17 or 18%, depending on what you're looking at, okay? But our personnel costs are up anywhere from 75 to 120%. Our O&M, operations and maintenance, to maintain the system, are up in the neighborhood of, depending on which one you're looking at, 150 to 300%. And capital is up 100 to several 100% more, depending on which system you're talking about. You know, those are things that we've got to deal with somehow, okay? And to be quite honest, we've had operational challenges with our water and sewer system over the last few years. Many people have had a lot of operational challenges with COVID and staffing and so forth, and costs have went up. But we've seen a huge increase, and we took a 10% increase since 2019. But you guys heard so sooner or later, if those costs are gonna rise, we've got to do something. But I agree, we should not ever ask anyone to raise their rates 90%. One of the reasons that we got here is because, and I've talked to, I don't know how many people, quite as many people as are out here, but I've talked to more people about this than any other subject in the last 7 years I've been here. And the question I always ask is do you believe that user fees should support the maintenance of the water and sewer system? And 95%, I think there's been one or two people that have said, well, I'm not sure, because they know a lot about the system. They're not sure they want to give up the CIT, but 95% of people have said yes. That's the user fee should support the system. But I don't want to pay 90% more, and I get that completely. And that's what we're trying to figure out the best way to do, all right? So someone asked, and I'm going to bounce around here for just a second, but they were talking about, well, where's this money going to go if you bring it in? Well, one of the things I've been setting up here for a while, too, I mean, some of you out there have set up here longer than I have, but, you know, we hear constantly, we want more done with our parks. We constantly hear we want more sidewalks, okay? That money could be used for that. So we're going to have to make choices. And we're probably not going to get as much done. We've seen a parks master plan that I think had $11 million in it or something. And I don't think it went far enough, to tell you the truth, okay? We've seen a sidewalk plan that I think is in the same neighborhood, if I remember right. And we really don't have any funds to pay for that, okay? So we're having to make choices up here. So I agree that we should not do this now. We're going to have to find out a better plan. There's a few things I do want to address, though, that did come up. Gina, don't we do some kind of accommodation in the summertime for watering of lawns to where every gallon isn't charged? I know we used to.
To my knowledge, we've not. They are correct. There is no way for the city to determine without metering what water goes where. So without an additional meter for irrigation purposes only, so you're not charged that second, part of the sewer, there is an option to do that. And Carrie Bell would know more on the statistics of that. But if you just have one meter, water goes in, water goes out. But if there is a lot of people that utilize a second meter just for their irrigation source.
Okay, that part I understand, but somewhere, and I was involved 2005 or something with a public committee, that somewhere I was told that we had, during the summer, we made some accommodation around the water usage for sewer.
We changed, and Richard, you're right, I was on that committee. That was my first jump in the pond in
So that shouldn't
public
change.
government.
That no longer is the case.
07 is when I facilitated the approved philosophy change from DNR, with DNR 07, 08. Carrie, I'm looking at you. Anyway, with that change, that was not part of that.
Okay,
so I don't know prior
that's
to
where
that.
it changed. Sorry for the old stuff. I apologize. One was brought up, Fred brought up bonds. I'll just say this, I can't ever support bonds to operate a system, okay? That's borrowing money for your daily operations. I just can't support that. Trying to see if there was any, the other cities, okay? If you notice, Camdenton and Eldon have lower rates, okay? Camdenton and Eldon, from what I gather in talking to some of my engineering friends, they're the standard sewer system that most people are used to in the United States. About 98% of them are. They set up at the high point, and there's a low point, and everything drains down to us. Instead of having the 1,700 or 2,000 pumps that we have in this city, okay? And if you look at the two cities that are more expensive than us, that's Sunrise Beach and Laurie, and they have a much more, call it mechanically intensive system. Okay, so there's some of the challenges that we have in trying to figure out what's the best balance in all of this. And from there, all I can say is to my other board members you know, I want to say thank you all for coming, number one, but we're going to have to figure out something else, because I just don't see how I think what we have shown is, finally, what does it cost to run a system, okay? And so now that we've figured that out, now we got to figure out how to pay for it. And we don't have too many options, but we've got a couple. And we're going to have to take a look at what some of those options are. And I don't know how many of you will be back, but there'll probably be, I don't know for sure. We'll see where this goes, but we may be having another public hearing. That's all I have. Thank you.
All right. Alderman Rucker, you have anything?
Sure. I don't pass up an opportunity to speak. First of all, just to kind of reiterate what has been brought up before, and that is we have a pressure system, and if you don't understand the pressure system, as Alderman Ross said, as I didn't years ago, it's very expensive to operate, and that's an issue that we have, and that goes into the O&M. It also goes into our staffing because it takes more staff, and it also takes a staffing that is willing to understand that and be capable of handling that. Yes, we are having a staffing problem. We have had. COVID has done everybody problems. I personally think part of our staffing problem is the fact that we're requiring more because of the type of system we have, and we're not paying enough. It gets to more money. And so where's that money come from? So that is one of the issues that we're looking at that I think is important. I was a little unclear of my fellow Ward 1 alderman in reference to Tantera. I'm not sure exactly what you were saying, but I want to say it this way. Tantera is out of our city. We provide Tantera with a service. I can't go into great detail because it's contract, and we are working through some contract issues that I'm sure the attorney would put a tape over my mouth if I go too deep. But I am not, I want to repeat, I am not in favor of improving that system for 5 to 10 million or whatever it is going to end up being with money from the people inside the city. I am not in favor of that. If this is going to cost us 10 million, the people out there are going to pay for it. They're outside the city. That's part of the privileges you folks that live inside the city have. Just like with the people outside the city on water and sewer in Oak Run. If they have a problem with their system there and it needs to be repaired and we need to work on it in massive amounts as upgrade, then it's up to them to pay for that. That's my position. So I just want to make clear that's my position. Okay. Excuse me, sir. I'm sorry. I have the floor. I agree that I have a number of things that have come up here that I've learned. I always have learned. Old dog can learn new tricks. And I have some questions and some things that I want to do. I will just say ahead of time, I'm going to put a motion to table and have a workshop. That's my suggestion on what the next step is. But along with that, I would also ask you at another couple weeks or a week and a half, whatever it is may be, at the April election, to vote yes for the user tax. That is an area that would help us out in the funding so that the people that are spending the money on the website, that we get a tax on that. We used to get tax from everything that people bought in this city. This city is set up on sales tax, not property tax. Now there's lots and lots of things that people buy inside this city via internet that we don't get that tax from. So since that is occurring that way, we have to figure out some way or another to fulfill the absence of that money. We're hoping the user tax that we are asking you to pass does, and that will take care of that. If not, then there's going to be another area that we're going to have a challenge with. I have some other questions that I would like to go through in like I said, in a workshop, and be happy to make. Obviously, our workshops are open to the public, and if you're not able to come, we're always doing it by the internet or Zoom or whatever you call it.
Facebook, YouTube.
YouTube, okay? So I ask you to, pay attention and listen in on those as well. But with all that being said, I thank you for coming. I appreciate that. We've been told that people want this service to be fee-driven. Well, I don't know where those people are tonight. And I guess we need to hear from you. And we reach out and we ask you. I do. I don't always like to, but I always listen. I always answer my phone. Always. I don't know who that phone call is coming from, but I answer it because I am an alderman. A lot of people don't. I answer mine. So I appreciate anybody that called. Thank you.
All right. Alderman Hoffman.
Well, I want to echo what Alderman Rucker said. I really appreciate everybody showing up tonight. I'll tell you what, if you all hadn't showed up tonight, we probably would have just gone with the first number. If you're not going to come out and really say, hey, we need help, this is too much, then we're going to go with our plan. And because arguing on Facebook doesn't mean anything to us. It doesn't. And we talk about it all the time. And I know I personally try to stay off of social media because you get bad information. So you guys showing up tonight and really coming out in thunder, it makes a difference. And I applaud you for showing up. I would like to address the transparency part of the question that was posed earlier. I'm in complete agreement with that. That is something that the board, the mayor, the staff have all discussed. I think it's something that was probably not done well over the years, but it's something that we're attacking. But I will say this, I've only been here for 11 months, and Mike Welty and I have worked sometimes aggressively against each other, but most of the time on the same page. And he has put so much time, so much effort into this, and I started to believe that we were starting to get a plan in place that made sense. And that then echoed through Cochran Engineering and to Zach, who is our new public works operator, who I have an immense amount of confidence in, as well as other board members have mentioned to me. So the transparency is coming. I do believe that we have a plan moving forward, and it's one that I can get on board with. Secondly, the board members have been going out, the mayor has been going out, we've been talking to people. We've been going to restaurants, going to a bar, going to a function, going to a dinner to talk to people. Tell me what you think. And there's been a little back and forth on that. But I'm glad we did it because we started to see that maybe our initial plan was too aggressive. But what we also heard when I did this when I was running for office was, are you going to fix that stink down by Andy's? Well, folks, this is part of fixing it, all right? So if we don't fix it, you're not going to be able to go get a good concrete and not smell poop, all right? And I know for one, I would rather get voted out than to pretend that this is a problem, that we either fix it or we don't. And I'm not in favor of putting my head in the sand over this issue. Now, that being said, we've been working behind the scenes to try and find some other options to get that number down, because we got to pay sewer and water too up here. I don't really want to pay more money. And if there's a way that we can find something and take it away, and maybe we're not going to, put some money into a capital project that we can cut that. Every little bit, we started finding little percentages and little bit that helps. But even if we move it down to say 30%, that's an optimistic thing that's giving us another year to try and find solutions, and we might. Everybody's working hard on it. We've got a good plan, we've got good people, but it might not work. And a year from now, you might be coming back to this same meeting and hearing, well, we got to go up another 25%. So I want to be transparent with you about that. There's a pretty good chance that this is going to get reduced in some capacity, but it's no guarantee that we're not having this conversation next year. So please be prepared for that and know that that's a possibility. Lastly, this is a complicated issue. I didn't know anything about the sewer. Now, I felt like first thing I wanted to do when I found out how bad it was, well, who do we blame? And I imagine some of you are coming in here thinking that too. Who do we blame? There's not one person. There's not one committee. There's not one board. This is something that's been going on for years. And quite frankly, we've got low rates here. When you do the comparisons to other cities that are comparable to us, we have really low rates. So there has to be a little bit of rates going up. There has to be better transparency. There has to be better use of our money. And I think that this is something that it has to be a team effort. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Alderman Rucker, did you want to make a motion?
Being the fact that the rate increase has a timetable based on us. This is not something that has to be done by the 30th of this month, but I also feel it's something that has to be completed. It's something we have to do. We can't kick the can down the road and 4 months from now say we're going to kick it down some more. But with that being said, I would like to make a motion to table both Bill 2412 and 2413. And with that, aggressively charge the city administrator with coming up with a date over the next 3 to 4 days to shoot us a date when we can have a workshop. As we all know, setting schedules and making us being able to do it, but having a workshop to go back through this again, and I have a number of questions that I will shoot her as well, so that she would be able to have information. Hopefully, you would as well for that agenda item. So it's kind of a long motion, but the short of it is to table Bill 2412 and 2413.
Is there a second?
Second.
Alderman Ross. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, this bill has been not kicked down the road, but we've tabled it to a later date, and we will put that out in all sorts of media, and you are all welcome to join at that time. And just like everybody else said, this is why we do public hearings, and numbers speak, and the board has heard you, and hopefully you can go back and go to our website, take a look at our operating 2024 budget is online. If you have comments or questions, email us, show up at the public hearing. But we thank you all very much. And if anybody wants to leave, you're welcome to stay. We got quite an agenda left. If anybody is done, we'll wait a couple minutes while they disperse. Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Thanks.
Yeah, we still got almost a full agenda left.
The rest of it's going to go fast.
Compared to
The faster you talk, the faster they go.
That's right.
Maybe this is a good time to go use the restroom. Yeah. Mr. Mayor, I'm going to step out and use the restroom.
Mayor?
I'm going to use the restroom.
Mayor?
Folks, we're going to take a 5-minute recess if anybody... 5-minute recess if anybody needs a restroom.
I swung around, blew my nose.
I was ready. I was ready. I had a bowl.
I wasn't expecting that, but it's okay.
Probably the best thing.
Yep. Yep.
Somebody's got to pay their bills sooner or later.
All they're going to do is annex the city. They're on city limits.
Well, it's off our
Okay.
Somebody that knows.
I'm drinking after this.
He was on the I know, and he was gone. He was hybrid. He was on committee at the time I got
Well, Gina's right behind you.
Oh.
Not Luke, the guy
trying to read his shirt. Yeah, no. I guess I don't know when that works. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. I could. I mean, it's a lot.
Well, then whatever you have, it's the same thing I have. Because I have to really meet somebody so like I recognize I've always and we'll balance out, but like compensate.
My question again, okay, so I take them off if they're out, that's 60% less
So
effective.
there, right, yeah.
It isn't. Because your brain is got
Once you start, you're anywhere to.
So I'm not gonna do that.
I also told Mike.
Don't wait till you just absolutely.
Mike Oswald and Mike, we should get the cheaper down into the 300.
I moved your chair, sorry.
It doesn't relate to things. So if we can get the odor cleaned up, the delays will be more tolerable.
I mean, give it it'll settle and it'll come back on some point. Thank you. Oh, you'd have to ask Tara that. Go print it. Go.
What number is it, Mike?
Oh. The Veterans Agreement?
Which one is it?
2416. Yeah. Well, you can't go through if you want to. The ordinance, he's talking about the agreement. So if the agreement itself was not in the packet and you got a first reading, the Veterans Memorial, they got it. I wonder if they got it electronically. If it comes electronically, then look up the board packet. Well, she might have put it back electronically, but not reprinted. So can you go hook up and print some copies? Email Tara real fast, have her go. I've already shut my computer. Well, it's not the next thing, Cochrane.
I gotta look that up.
I'll go print it for
That's
you.
never happened before, I don't know.
Okay. Is this coming back up?
I assumed it was, but that's a great question. Good point. That's a great question. I'll have to look at
Then
it.
it made it, yeah, that's what I'm checking now. So it hasn't got in there electronically.
Every day's a learning experience. How was your day, by the way?
Well, we hacked Snyder's and
I'm sorry.
we hacked Snyder's.
Let's worry about you all the time.
If we don't get running too late and you got a few minutes afterwards, I got about 4 or 5 minutes worth of stuff I need to lay on. I want to talk about it.
Phyllis. Phyllis. Hello, Phyllis.
I'll look at her.
We
we already know they're working on steps.
Everybody loves her. We talked about you accidentally leaving.
Well, clock ticks back.
Yeah, I saw that. Okay.
I just emailed it to you.
Huh? Well, I was gonna ask Cole, can we go print it and give it to everybody tonight? I mean, it was noticed up to discuss, so I think you can.
It's not in the
Board feel
package.
comfortable scanning it. That'd be a question, do you feel comfortable with voting something you just took your eyes on? It was noticed up in the packet, so they're well, right, it's just, do they have enough information?
I press myself all the time. My prayers are also better on that side.
Yeah. Oh, no kidding.
What page is that? Page.
I don't see this problem, but I still can't get that thing alone. So, can't you get on board with this food truck? I found the case that says that your 10 pages now food truck's going back out.
Well, she noticed it up. So legally-wise, it is on the agenda for the board to consider. If she will go make copies, the board just has to determine whether there's enough information for them to feel like they can make a decision. They can make a decision, it's noticed up. So if she prints it, then they just have to decide do they have enough information to go with the first reading.
I could probably get by with the one I won't budge off of is 200 feet.
Should probably go. Can we go do that?
We do put restrictions in place. You can't open a club right next to a church. Not for competition reasons.
Chatting.
That's the difference. That's my problem. It's not for, they don't pay.
Talk to the board about sandwiches.
So,
Fair market.
I was thinking
whatever, we can disagree on this one, I get it. I understand what your point, I really do. But we just hacked it. They started.
He's on the tour. I don't know whether he's president or whatever.
They're mad about the money, they're not mad about it.
By the end of summer, we'll have a better perspective.
Start bringing my water bottle.
Maybe we just, you and I need to meet up at some point, just talk about this, to see if we, because I feel like until one of us gets, until we get on the same page, it's just gonna sit there, but.
There's Phyllis. You want me to go replace them? Oh, here comes Harlan.
We're still live. You gotta be careful.
I have the worst. There you go. Now we're talking.
please take your seats. It's not 6 o'clock, like I said earlier. All right, we're going to move on to Bill 24-15, an ordinance of the city of Osage Beach, Missouri, authorizing a not to exceed amount of $700,000 for fiscal year 2024 under the existing contract with LOR Engineering, LLC, doing business as Cochran Engineering, professional service agreement. This is the first and second reading. Thank you. All right, Mike Welty, Assistant City Administrator.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the board. This request is a not to exceed for the $700,000 the mayor just mentioned. These services are billed to the applicable funds expenditure lines as budgeted based upon the service rendered. Cochran is currently handling all private, commercial, property, utility review and inspection in the city, which, as you know, has jumped significantly over the last few years. In addition, they are also doing all the engineering inspection on all but a few city-constructed projects. Everything in the $700,000 is already budgeted at some place within our budget, depending upon the fund that the engineering comes out of. Happy to answer any questions. I do recommend approval.
Thank you, Mr. Welty. Comments, questions from the board? Alderman Ross.
I just have one question. Why does it need to be a first and second reading?
Repeat, I'm sorry, Richard.
Why does it need to be a first and second reading? Why did we decide to go about it that way?
This is a little late, sir. It should have come before the board a little earlier in the year, and so we've got some bills that are already coming through that need to be applied to this particular bill.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
All right, anyone else? Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve first reading?
Motion to approve.
Alderman Rucker, is there a second? Alderman Hoffman, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, second reading, same bill. 24-15, an ordinance of the City of Osage Beach, Missouri, authorizing a not-to-exceed amount of $700,000 for fiscal year 2024 under the existing contract with LOR Engineering, LLC, doing business as Cochran Engineering Professional Service Agreement. Second reading. If there's no comments or questions, do I have a motion to approve second reading?
Motion approved.
Alderman Ross, do I have a second?
Second.
Alderman Rucker, roll call, please.
Alderman Schuman. Alderman Hoffman.
Yes.
Alderman Rucker.
Yes.
Alderman Ross.
Yes.
Alderman Rose.
Yes.
Alderman Osteen.
Yes.
All right, second reading passes. Next, we have Bill 24-16, an ordinance of the City of Osage Beach, Missouri, authorizing the mayor to sign an agreement with the Elks Lodge 2517 for ongoing maintenance and assistance related to the proposed Veterans Memorial Project. This is the first reading. Mike Welty, please.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the board, and Mayor, a special thank you to you for doing the recess. I realized right before this that the Veterans Memorial Agreement somehow had not made it into your packet, so I rushed back to my office real quick, and with Tara's help, we got it printed out here, and you should have a copy of it in front of you, just so that everybody has it.
Very good.
This is the agreement that we would like to put in place that will govern the responsibilities between the city and the Elks Lodge as it relates to the construction and ongoing maintenance for the Veterans Memorial that we are hoping to get passed later today. If you'll take a look at your agreement and go to number 2 there, you will see the obligations listed for the Elks. They are donating the 2 statues that are pictured in your packet. They're donating the headstone. They're donating the 6 flagpoles and flags. Replacement flags as needed on an as-needed basis will be provided by the Elks Lodge in perpetuity. They are also donating around half of the pavers that will be needed for the project. The project will be made up of a total of 2,000 pavers. Additionally, you will see the brick program, which has been talked about very much, laid out there on a piece of paper that is right in front of the 2 pictures of the kneeling soldier and the other picture with the rifle with the helmet on it. That kind of lays out the brick program. We've kind of went over this several times. The one thing I would remind everyone is they're going to be buying flags for us for as long as this memorial sits out there. So I seriously believe that this is a very fair deal for the city. On the city side of things, we're responsible for maintaining this. We're responsible for the security of it. We're responsible for paying the electricity to keep the lights on, and just a general upkeep of the memorial. And that's the basics of what goes into this particular agreement. So any questions on it, I'll be happy to answer them. I do think we do have some representatives from the Elks Lodge here as well. I can't say enough how helpful they've been. This has been a very long process, and we're hopeful that the board will see what we see in this, see the positive in this, and we'll talk about the dollars here in a minute when we get to that particular piece of it. But it's been a long time coming, a lot of hard work on both sides. I do recommend approval.
Thank you, Mr. Welty. Comments, questions from the board? Alderman Rucker.
Well, first of all, fortunately, this is just a first reading because I have not read this at all, and I want to go through it in greater detail. But one of my questions that I have is, Cole, since they will be giving us the statutes, that's a concern I have. They will be giving it. Is there some kind of paperwork or something that's got to go along with that? So if, and I hope it's not when, so if the statutes get stolen, damaged, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, we won't have a problem with our insurance.
I can get with Michael about the insurance question specifically, but they are signing this agreement with us that says that they are donating them to us. So, I mean, they will be ours. Per the agreement, there'll be a fixture in front of City Hall. So I don't foresee an issue with it, but Michael and I can put our heads together.
That's my only concern with that, since it's the way it was coming about. Other than that, that's the only question I had.
And I'll add that I look forward to you reading through it, because this is like the Ballparks National contract. This is definitely a non-standard agreement. We've kind of tried to make fit our standard form. So I welcome your input on if you catch anything that I didn't.
All right, any further comments or questions on the first reading? Seeing none, do I have a motion to, Alderman Rucker, do you have a question?
I thought there was going to be some other comments, so I apologize.
Nope.
I have a couple of questions. One, the price that is in here does not include the $28,000 that the Elks are donating, is that right?
I'm sorry, what?
So in the agreement that we just got, if you added up round numbers, is $28,000 worth of value that the Elks are donating. So none of this stuff is in, for, I guess the cheapest one was Don Schneider's, right?
Right.
So they're not expecting to supply any poles. There's no redundancy here, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, I'm just confirming that, sorry. Second thing I'm gonna ask Eric, and I'm gonna ask you, I guess, Mike, how is it that we're off 40-some% on engineers' estimates? The engineer's estimate is 150,000, it comes up 209.
Which, are you under item E, or are you under a different item?
Okay, well, I guess that's, if it's about the agreement, then fair enough, I'm ahead of myself, I apologize.
Okay.
Fair enough, not a problem.
All right, we good?
Yeah,
Okay.
At this point, I don't have a problem doing, I'll just say this, I don't have a problem entering into an agreement with the Elks if that's appropriate. I have a concern about spending more than $150,000, that's my concern. So I don't know what the proper procedure is, but anyway, and by the way, the board will vote, so.
All right, any other comments or questions on the first reading? Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve first reading?
Motion to approve.
Alderman Rucker. Second, Alderman Hoffman. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, first reading passes. Next, we have Bill 24-17, an ordinance to the City of Osage Beach, Missouri, amending ordinance number 23-90, adopting the 2024 annual operating budget, transfer of funds for the Veterans Memorial Project. First reading. Is this you, Gina?
It is.
Okay.
Mayor, members of the board, I'm just handling the budget side of things. Bill 2418 is a request to award, and based on our changes to purchasing code, we make sure projects are funded before considering of award. So department staff has requested a budget amendment from me. The details are in your bill, moving money. They have requested to move money from building improvements, or to add to building improvements, and from savings from some park improvements. I know there's more details in Bill 2018 if you, Mike, can answer any specifics to the dollar for dollar, but this is the budget amendment that allows funding should you decide to support Bill 2418 and award a contract.
All right, thank you very much. Comments from the boards, questions? Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve first reading?
I have a question.
Certainly.
Sorry. This back to Gina. This is just to approve that if we approve 2418, that the funds can get moved?
Okay, so in our purchasing code.
It was backwards, that's why.
Well, in our purchasing code, it's very specific that projects that are unbudgeted should be funded. And I know I used to follow the funding after the project, and I've been asked to ask that it get funded first before the following. So as long as you just direct me what order, but if you take the literal interpretation of our purchasing code, if a project is unbudgeted under certain authority, I can take care of internally. Anything above certain criteria on the board, it comes to the board. So this is an ask to move some funds, so it is funded. And then the next item is you deciding if and when to award and use such funding that you just funded the project with.
But
Does that make sense?
are we approving the transfer of funds of what we originally budgeted, the 158, or are we approving the 208 in the following?
So this budget amendment supports Bill 2018 requesting a contract to award. So by doing, think of it like this, by doing this budget amendment and you approve the first reading of the budget amendment, following the second reading, it's like it always was funded in the budget.
I understand.
And then you consider award.
Thank you.
All right, any other comments?
She's following she's following the ordinances that we passed. She's doing what we told her.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve first reading?
Motion to approve.
Alderman Rucker, do I have a second? Alderman Morose. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
No.
All right, let's do a roll call, please. All those in, yep.
Alderman Osteen?
Can we pause for a minute? I've got a question again. This is just to transfer the funds should we approve the next bill. But we can adjust the number on the next bill, correct?
So this is the first, yes. So this is the first reading of moving money to say, to have funds available should you award. So by doing the first reading, it is still just a first reading, it needs a second reading. And if a second reading would pass, that would be like it always was in the original budget.
So what I'm
So
asking
it's
is.
just the funding
okay.
part, it doesn't, I mean, it,
Because I do have concerns about the actual budget.
Right.
Or the dollar amount for this.
so that is
But that would
appropriate
be-
determining on the award.
That would be
Do you-
2418.
That would be the questions.
Bill.
Do you want to award a contract above and beyond what your original spending plan was, or you're comfortable? So also think of it like this, if you fund a spending plan in your budget, and then you decide by the time the award hits the dais that you've changed your mind, that's fine. But
Okay.
this does fund that project. If it's not funded, but you can still award or not award, but they do go
Okay.
hand in hand,
Okay.
but one doesn't mean the other one is positive.
Then back to roll call, yes.
All right, well, we have a first and second. Let's start all over. Roll call, please.
Alderman Osteen?
Yes.
Alderman Morose?
Yes.
Alderman Ross?
I'll say yes now. I'm still figuring this out. Go ahead, yes.
Alderman Rucker?
Yes.
Alderman Hoffman?
Yes.
All right, first reading passes.
All right, now here's where we hash
You
it out.
have the money now.
All right, this is Bill 24-18, an ordinance of the City of Osage Beach, Missouri, authorizing the mayor to approve a contract with Don Sneeders Excavating Company, Inc. for the Veterans Memorial Project for an amount not to exceed $208,792. First reading, Assistant City Administrator Mike Welty, please.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the board. You may remember this as a carryover project. We did bid this out last summer. The low bid last summer was right around $250,000, so we've been able to bring it down significantly since we did that. We bid it out again in December in hopes that the project could be constructed in the spring, summer of 2024. Bids were opened on the 19th of January. We've kind of been working with the Elks Lodge and working through our budget to see if we could find ways to figure out a way to get this funded, and so that's what is before you today. It is significantly over budget. It is about $57,000 over budget altogether, and I do recommend approval.
All right, now comments or questions from the board. Alderman Ross.
So I'll start, I guess. Thank you. So first question is still out there. Dave, you started to walk up there. Why is it, I don't know, 38, 40%, whatever the actual math is? Why would it be that much over what the engineer's estimate is?
Yeah, so don't have a great answer for you. One thing I will say is we've really struggled to develop contractor interest in this project. As Mike said, this is the second time we bid this project, and out of the two bid lettings, we've got a total of 3 bids. So anytime we can't get good contractor interest, that never helps pricing on projects. The other thing I will say is, in terms of our estimating on this project, this isn't a project that we're going to have tons of data on. It's a unique one-off project that we can't go into our database and see what pricing for this type of work should be. So that's in there. It's also always difficult to know how a contractor is going to react to having donated work. Donating work sounds great, but that also creates a lot of coordination on the contractor, having to orchestrate between multiple people donating the work. So I don't know if that's a great explanation or not, but that's what I would offer to you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Mike.
I do apologize. There's a couple more things I do want to share about this project. There are a couple of donations that I didn't mention that need to be brought forward. So Scott's Concrete is donating $5,000 worth of concrete to this project. Cochran Engineering also donated $1,000 towards this project. So there's some community donations that I want to make sure that the board understands are coming forward for this. And I just thought I would add that in there. The other thing I will add is that the contractor is one that we've worked with several times with a lot of success in recent history. Most recently, this contractor is the contractor that did all the improvements in front of City Hall. So just want to make sure the board knows that we're certainly comfortable with the contractor. They've done a lot of work for us, and we're pretty happy with the work that we've seen so far.
Dave?
One last thing I meant to say when I was here before. If you do move forward with this project, we will certainly work with the contractor, see if we can come up with any cost savings on the project. Sometimes contractors have specific ideas or specific ways of looking at things that we don't necessarily see as engineers. So we would, if you do move forward with the project, we'll certainly meet with Don Schneiders and see if they have any cost savings ideas for the project to hopefully try to get a little closer to budget. But that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. First, take a pause, I want to thank Mike and the Elks Lodge, okay, for all the work that you guys have done, all right? But one of the biggest concerns that I have right now, and this is the way we do business sometimes is why we end up with these evenings like this, okay, is have we considered reducing the scope? I mean, we keep going out to bid, but we don't ever, apparently, I don't see any indication that we've considered reducing the scope. Have we done anything with that?
Well, the scope was changed some between the first time we did it and the second time we did it. Dave can maybe speak to how much, but I think there was some changes that were made.
Yeah, I don't believe there was significant scope changes made in an effort to reduce the cost of the project.
Okay.
I don't believe that was done.
All right, that's all I have. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions from the board? Alderman Rucker.
I assume we've not put a restriction as far as it has to be done by a certain time. That usually increases the cost.
No.
So we've left it up to the contractor to do it within a reasonable amount of time.
Well, I mean, I do believe that it's in the, it's a 90-day project, so the contract is for 90 days.
Okay, I just didn't know if that and I guess I was going to ask it a kind of a different way than what Alderman Ross did, and that is, do we see any ways? Do we see anything that we can do to reduce this cost? Is there any other scope way? I mean, Richard, do you see some things that you've seen in the project?
Well, I haven't seen the latest design, but I mean, they filled up the whole circle out there. I mean, I don't know that we have to fill up the whole circle, but I understand the circle's there, so it makes sense. I mean, I haven't actually looked at, there wasn't any bid, it wasn't a quantities bid, so it's kind of hard to tell whether or not what's in there. I mean, I know that there's some legal stuff around going back and, for lack of a better, we used to clarify bids and try to figure out why we were way over budget. I'm not sure you can do that. I don't want to get into that up here. But at this moment, I don't. There might be some ways, though.
The other question I have is, at one point, I thought we were going back to the Elks and saying, hey, use your ability to go out and beg and borrow, not steal, but beg and borrow from the community out there and see if you can get people to step up to the plate. And I realize that's, as Dave said, that becomes challenging when you're managing free labor and et cetera, but I don't see anything, did nothing come of that?
Just the one donation from Scott's.
And Cochran.
Cochran.
And Cochran too, yeah.
Okay. That's all I have at this time.
Alderman Hoffman.
Well, I want to thank everyone's hard work and thank the Elks Lodge. I am a veteran. This is important to me. I want this to happen. But we just saw all these people come in here and are pretty upset about they're about to pay a lot more in water and sewer. And we just tabled that because we're going to try and find ways to not spend so much money and try to help them out. It's pretty hard to now throw an extra $50,000 into a memorial out front. It seems very contradictory to what I just was supporting. And so even as a veteran, I really think we need to try and stay on budget with this, and we need to maybe go out and look for donations. I don't want it to die tonight because I want to give this every opportunity to succeed. So that being said, I'd like to make a motion to table this.
Second.
Question?
Motion
Comment?
and a second question.
Comment. I just want to make one comment. Dave alluded to it, and I meant to say something about this. We threw a number at the wall that we thought it was going to take to build this memorial. And we literally threw a number at the wall, and that's what the board has to understand. The board didn't know, and I trust and I have all the faith in Cochran. They didn't know. They didn't have good numbers. They did the best they could, but how many memorials were built? There probably is a little bit more research in hindsight we could have done and went out to some cities and did a little bit more, but I think that from the very beginning, this project has always been $50,000 to $75,000 more than what we threw the number at the wall for our $150,000. So that's just, I wanted to just mention that.
All right, we have a first and a second to table, but we have more discussion.
Just to expand on what Alderman Rucker just stated, I think that number didn't come out of thin air. I think that number was thrown out there because that's the number we were comfortable with spending for this memorial. I think that was the justified number that we thought, okay, we are in favor of this, but from a budget standpoint and from being fiduciary responsible, we thought that's where we're going to cap it. Unfortunately, those bids have not come in close to what we've stated, so I don't want to say that we just pulled that number out of thin air. I think we're all in agreement that that was kind of our comfort zone.
That's right.
That's all.
Alderman Ross.
I just want to make a couple last comments. First of all, I want this project to happen, okay? But at the same time, we've got to be somehow fiduciarily responsible. I have no problem if someone will bring up, and this is what I've been concerned with all along, bring me another option and we'll choose, okay? Sure, we can find the $59,000, but as we talk to these people who don't want their, as Justin talked about, we have to do our diligence. And if you all bring us one that and I realize you're not going to be completely accurate because, great point, Kevin, people don't build memorials every day, all right? But, okay, if you think, here's what you can get for $150 and here's what you can get for $210, okay? Because we know what we can get for $210 if the prices hold, okay? Then I think we've done our diligence, okay? But without that, we're just, we're throwing darts on the wall, seeing the spaghetti sticks, and I just don't care for that whenever I'm spending the public's money, to be quite honest. So.
All right, any further comments or questions? Seeing none, motion on the board is Alderman Hoffman, motion to table. We have
Motion
a
to table.
And a second from Alderman Ross. We'll do a roll call vote, please. All those in favor?
Aye. Well, I was clearing my throat, Mr. Mayor. Sorry about that. There we go.
All those in favor?
Alderman Morose?
Yes.
Aye.
Alderman Ross.
Yes.
Alderman Rucker.
No.
Alderman Hoffman.
Yes.
Alderman Osteen.
Yes.
All right, this bill too is tabled. All right, next is Bill 24-19, an ordinance of the City of Osage Beach, Missouri, authorizing the mayor to execute the Missouri Highway and Transportation Commission state block grant agreement for the design work needed on the Lee C. Fine Airport runway and lighting rehab project. This is the first reading. Mike Welty, please.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the board. Board, I apologize. There is nothing that is not complicated that I'm doing tonight, so I apologize in advance. This particular situation is for the grant that we would get, the 90% grant that we would get to redo the runway and the lighting at Lee C. Fine. The city is allocated money every year from the FAA. We don't get our annual allowance until the middle of the year. So as it stands right now, this is a situation where 90% of the $320,000 that you're going to be approving on the next bill that Ty is going to present to you is $288,900. Right now, all we have available to us is $243,185. But in June, the other $45,17 will become available to us, and I'll be bringing this back to the board to amend that amount into this agreement. So I know that's a little complex. I do apologize. But this is, other than that, this is no different than any of the other 90% grants that we have done. If by chance CMT, who is our engineer for this project, were to get far enough before we got that money to spend the 243, then obviously we'd have to put them on hold until we can get the rest of the funding for the grant. I do want to assure the board, though, that the money that I am talking about is our money. It's already a foregone conclusion that we are going to get it. It's just that we are not, that allowance has not been provided to us and won't be until the middle of the year. So I do recommend approval. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Alderman Hoffman.
Are we essentially loaning money to ourselves?
I'm sorry.
Are we essentially loaning money to ourselves from one fund to another? Is that?
No, it's, we receive funds from the FAA every year.
Right.
And those funds are not allocated to the city or not available for the city to use until a certain date. And that date is, I believe, in June.
Okay. Then there's no way that we're not going to get the money, correct?
We've gotten the money every year for as long as I've been here. It's part of the process, and but we're going to get a lot more than the 45. It's just that that's all we're going to need from the 2024 allocation.
Gotcha. Okay. Thanks.
All right. Any other comments or questions? Alderman Ross.
I guess I have a question. This is federal money.
Yes, sir.
Right. And I watch what happens, every day or two. Sometimes I don't like to watch it daily up there. Do we know if this money has yet been appropriated?
My contacts with MoDOT Aviation tell me that it will be allocated in the middle of the summer, and I mean,
and that's fine. I don't want to make a big deal out of this, but at the end of the day, I'm not convinced that if the money hasn't been appropriated at the federal level yet, and they're trying to pass bills every week to keep the government open. I'm not sure that it's a guarantee that we're going to have this money. That's my concern. So if it's already appropriated in some past budget that's already approved or some bill that's already approved, then I think that's a fair statement. We're going to get the money, and I don't have any concern. If you don't know that, then I'll probably trust that the FAA is going to come through. But we need to be very cautious here.
I can't answer those questions. I apologize. I don't know. I can tell you that every year for as long as I've been managing this grant, we get the money every summer.
So these are airport discretionary funds that come through the federal government that flow through the state aviation. And it's $150,000 every year. And so, the timing of the budget is when the state gets their portion from the federal based on their budget. And that's why it's a mid-year every year, because it comes through the state. I understand what you're saying, but it's discretionary funds per airport, and
All right, any other comments or questions? Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve first reading?
Motion to approve.
Alderman Hoffman, do I have a second?
Second.
Alderman Morose, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we're getting closer, Heather. All right, Bill 24-20, an ordinance to the City of Osage Beach, Missouri, authorizing the mayor to execute a contract with Crawford, Murphy, and Tilley for design services for the Lee C. Fine Airport for LCF runway and lighting project for an amount not to exceed $321,000. First reading, Ty Dinsdale, Airport Manager.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor, members of the board. This is basically the contract with Crawford, Murphy, and Tilley, our consultant engineer group, for this particular project that the state block grant was previously approved for, not to exceed $321,000. Recommend approval.
All right, comments from the board, questions?
Motion to approve.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Alderman Hoffman, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion carries. All right, next we have, let's take a quick recess. Just kidding. Bill 24-21, an ordinance of the City of Osage Beach, Missouri, authorizing the expenditure of funds for promotional efforts to support the Lake of the Ozark Bike Fest 2024 event support request in an amount not to exceed $3,000. This is the first reading. Gina Woods, please.
yes, Mayor, members of the board. So as you recall, we have event support money to support community events funds. This is the first application we've received from the Lake of the Ozark Bike Fest event support. They are requesting $3,000 again this year. The event is September 11th through the 15th. And this makes the 8th year that we have supported the Bike Fest, should this be approved. I know Heather Brown's in the audience. If you have specific questions about the application or information provided.
All right, thank you very much. Alderman Rucker.
Yes, I know Heather's prepared to answer this because I talked to her before the meeting. I have a concern about this application, and I would bring the attention to the board. My concerns are the fact that the organizer is the Lake Ozark Convention and Visitors Bureau, not Bike Fest Incorporated or Bike Fest ILLC or et cetera. This application is for a for-profit organization rather than a non-for-profit organization. If you look at the budget reflects information that is confusing because budget has stuff that a non-for-profit organization would spend, such as Secretary of State fees, the board insurance, Evers and Company's taxes, and Brian Cave nonprofit application. All those are things that I had question with, that why are we paying that if we're giving the money to CVB? So Heather has the answer.
You are not giving the money to the CVB. That's who I work for. I sit as a volunteer on this board. It is a complete board of volunteers. As many of you know, we have a lack of funding in our community, as you guys have heard today, and you guys are trying to balance your budgets, and it's an extreme challenge. It is for us in the tourism world as well. So due to the lack of funding to promote our beautiful area, we have to create events. And so Bike Fest was one of those events that was created 18 years ago just to bring in just a few bikers, just to stimulate that economy, get them to shop in our stores, eat at our restaurants, stay in our hotels, and in time where we needed them in an off season, not during the summer. And over the years, it has grown in a huge way. We don't have an actual count, but I can tell you that we have over 23 states that I know of that come to this event, and 24 if you count Missouri, people from all over Missouri. So it is a huge event, and it is just a way to grow the economy. It brings in millions of dollars in an economic impact through people staying in the lodging facility, shopping in our stores, eating at our restaurants. And so this really is to stimulate our economy and to grow our tax base as a whole purpose just behind this event. So yes, I filled out the application at the CVB, but it is not my event. It does not go through any of our budgets, any of our accounting. I sit on the board. I help them. I help facilitate the passport program. We just got awarded this week. I got the letter that we are officially a 501c4. The Bike Fest Committee, because we work with the Christian Motorcycle Association, and they are a nonprofit, and so we work with them and donate money to their cause. They help us facilitate the passport program. 100% of all the funds raised goes to marketing this event. That is really what this committee does. We don't handle vendor villages. We don't handle any of the logistics other than the passport program, which again is to generate funds to market. So this money is to help go to marketing. Your logo will be on print ads. It will also be on our digital ads. It'll be anywhere we market this event. Our goal is to geofence and to get out there. We geofence other biking rallies, Daytona, Sturgis, the list. We have like 12 different ones. I'm not a biker, I'll be honest. But we do geofence a lot of bike rallies, as well as Harley dealerships, Indian dealerships, and we just want to generate and just stimulate the economy during that time. So that's all the money is going to be used for, and we've kept you guys, your logo up, even though we haven't gotten this approval, and we'll keep you guys up because you guys have always been a really good partner and one of the cities that do support this event in a great way. So we thank you for that.
Right.
So I am asking for money, but I'm also going to give you back money in September through sales tax. So.
Good point.
Thank you. Well, and I'll just say this, if you don't mind, first of all, I think the Bike Fest is phenomenal. I mean, Harmy's Cheese Store, the #1 stamp, by the way. And I always got to throw that in. But no, we're the #1 stamp for a week. I mean, literally, our door does not close.
Yes.
And we've had bikers that'll come in and they'll say they came down here a few years ago with them and their wife. Then next year they'll come down there with a couple more couples. And next year they bring the whole neighborhood. It grows and grows. It really puts so much money back into our economy. So,
It does. It's a great event.
yeah, Alderman Ross, sorry.
So I guess my question is that if this was should this say organization name, a different name? Is that what this should say as an application?
Well, I guess I assumed it should be the person filling it out, so I guess I'll know in the future to put, because it said event name below it, so I guess I'll put Bike Fest for both organization and event name.
Okay.
I'll
And
do
so
that.
then the only other thing that would be changed is the organization not-for-profit, and it would be a yes if it was filled out with that organization.
I filled it out prior to getting that letter, so I did not want to assume.
Okay.
Because we had been working on it for a year,
Okay.
so we just literally got it this week, so.
I want to support the Bike Fest, and the only question I have is actually a legal one from Cole. Do we need a different application that we should consider? What are your thoughts?
This is the first time. This is the first time seeing it, so I'm looking at it through it with you.
Yeah.
I think maybe just getting a amended application that has that corrected information. I'll be happy to take a look at it. You can just give me a call
Yeah,
tomorrow
and I
or next
thought I
week.
did it how I've always done it, but maybe I did not, so I apologize.
Well, Heather, I was just saying that I'm pretty sure your application looked the same. It's,
Yeah.
the ordinance is what you are approving. The alderman is directs benefits
Right.
on behalf of the Bike Fest, and the ordinance is required per that economic development section. So yes, the application, make note that, it should be
Change
this,
it.
but the ordinance does say, find that the Lake of the Ozarks Bike Fest is, promoted, blah, 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 this amount. So.
Okay, I will make that change, and I can amend it if that's
The
what's
ordinance is
required.
your legal
Right.
decision.
That's accurate.
All right, Alderman Monroe.
I would just like to move that we approve this. Bike Fest is one of the biggest events we have for sure, and it's great for our city.
It is.
All right. So are you doing a motion?
I'm sorry.
The bill,
I
yes.
thought that's what I did.
Motion to approve first reading?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Don't worry, Legina, we're getting to you. All right.
Glad the Chiefs aren't playing.
Next, we have a motion to approve the purchase of 3 control panels from municipal equipment for an amount not to exceed $196,146.40 plus shipping. Public Works Operations Manager, Zach Wilbur, please.
Thank you. Mayor, members of the board, are looking for approval to purchase 3 lift station control panels. These will complete the rehabs to the stations, 24-1, 62-3, and the Rockway station. So these are stations that are already under construction or being worked on this year, and this will finalize the total rehab of those stations.
All right, comments, questions from the
Recommend approval, sorry.
board? Alderman Hoffman.
First, is this a first reading? Because there's no,
Sorry,
This
this
is
was
just
a
a motion.
this was a budgeted item
Yeah.
from
On
a
an
sole
ordinance.
source
Okay.
distributor, yeah.
It's a motion.
secondly, do we need them now? Like, do we need them now? We need them in 6 months? Do we need them in a year? Like, if we get them, are they going right in, or are they?
Going right in.
Okay.
24-1, 62-3 has already been awarded Four Seasons Plumbing. They're already doing the rehab of the station themselves. The panels will finalize that. The Rockaway panel, that is priority as far as getting that one in there.
I just wanted to make sure we weren't paying for something that was sitting in a closet for a year.
Nope, yep, these are all going to be done this year.
Excellent.
Any other comments, questions? Alderman Osteen.
Just one question on why the bids for all of these are dated from July and August of last year?
My apologies. I would imagine that the Derek will uphold them, and they're still good. That was my mistake. I didn't catch that.
I don't know, if anybody looks at the dates on any of the supporting documentation, that's quite outdated. I'm just curious.
Well, you are approving up to 196, 146 from a sole supplier. So should Derek then say those aren't, and Zach can't keep it under 196, 146, he has to come back to the board.
Correct. Okay.
All right.
Motion approved.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
Alderman Rucker. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Next, we have another motion to approve the purchase of 3 vehicles for the Parks and Recreation Department and Water Department and the Sewer Department from Joe Manchin's Ford for the State of Missouri Cooperative Bid Contract Number CC240138008 for an amount not to exceed $170,913. Mike Welty, please.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the board. These are the 3 vehicles that made it out of the budget workshop. We talked about these in great detail during the budget workshop, and this is just us making it official so that we can go ahead and get these ordered. I will tell you that Joe Mawkins is telling us that the lead time on these is much shorter. So we're not seeing the long lead times that we saw before. I'm being told that we will have these vehicles in 4 months. So I think by the time we get into the close to the end of summer, we'll have them. Every one of these vehicles is within budget. Every one of these vehicles is exactly what we thought they would be. The one for the parks is the F3 or F-150 crew cab that will replace the old Explorer that Eric drives. The water F-350 is the one that will replace the truck that has the bent frame that we've talked about. And then on the sewer side, the sewer F-350 will replace the truck that has the transmission problems that we talked about. The only other thing, obviously, we will be back to you guys when we want to install the service beds because these trucks don't come with service beds on them. And you'll note that I put that information in my comments. The remaining amount for each truck is budgeted at $110,800. We're only spending a portion of that for the 2 F-350s. The remaining amount will be for the purchase of the aftermarket beds, which will happen later this year. I do recommend approval.
All right. Comments or questions?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Next, we have a motion to approve the purchase of Neptune water meters from Shelty Supply for an amount not to exceed $80,549. Zach Wilbur, please.
Thank you. Mayor, members of the board, this is our annual water meter purchase. It does come from Schulte. They're our sole source distributor. It was budgeted last year, and it will, as we've done in the last few years, update all the meters so we don't have one older than 10 years in the system. Do recommend approval. Thank you.
All right. Questions from the board?
Question.
Yes, sir.
With this quantity we have here is completed, at what point will we have the majority of our meters up to date? Or where will this put us? Because I know we don't want them any older than
10 years.
10 years.
This will be the annual maintenance on that. So this is everything that's aging out this year. Replacing all those 10 years. There is a slight buffer for stock new installs and things like that, but the vast majority of them will be.
So this is just 1/10 of our meters? Because we're over a 10-year period where we...
No. perfect world, yes, it would be, but for a while there, we were not keeping up on them, and like last year, we spent almost $400,000 to get it up to speed. So this does a portion of them, but not a tenth.
Anybody else have any questions or comments?
Motion approved.
We have a second?
Second.
Alderman, oh, you missed it. Alderman Osteen got it. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, any opposed? Next, we have a motion to approve the purchase of 15 Sulzer sewer pumps from municipal equipment for an amount not to exceed $122,577.75 plus shipping. Zach Wilbert, please.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the board. This is 15 sewer pumps from MEC, which is a sole source provider. It is a budgeted item. Out of the 3 10-horse pumps, 2 of them are already spoken for, and we will keep 1 for stock. The 14-horse pumps, these are the ones that are breaking the most, we're finding the most issues with. As the system expands and as the system increases, pressure's going up, and we're realizing that some of these things are undersized. We have had to undersize pumps in the past to get them working. With this purchase, and as we go through and work through all these stations, we're going to upgrade all the stations, install a lot. There will be some for stock, but currently we don't have any sizes of these pumps in the bay. I do recommend approval.
Comments from the board? Questions?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Alderman Ross. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion approved. All right, Legina. Motion to approve the selection of a TCLA marketing partnership option for the Marketing Partnership Program, July 1st, 2024 through June 30, 2025. Gina Woods, please.
Yes, Mayor, members of the board. So annually for the past many years, we have partnered with TCLA on what they, call the marketing partnership. Because the purchasing code now went up, the $25,000 as budgeted, as long as it's, through the purchasing code, is within my authority to actually spend the money as budgeted. However, I do believe it's very important that the board has a say in how the marketing partnership is situated. So the marketing partnership program, what they call 2025, runs July to June 2025. So we're on a calendar year. They're on a different year. But this year, to start active in July 2024, you have now 2 options before you. Legina will probably go through them and answer any questions. I did give you the update that Legina had given us from the second half of what they call the last the fiscal year, July 1st. Through December 31st, to give you an idea of what we had done in the past. So my request to you tonight is motion to approve whether it's option 1 or option 2 that you would prefer to go with, so we can get started and continue this marketing starting July 1st.
Thanks, Gina.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for your partnership. I know I've been the executive director for going on 4 years now, and I know it far extends that, and we do appreciate the partnership. We do run a fiscal calendar year to align with the state, so we can't apply for these funds. So that's why the difference in our year and your year. So when we come about this time of year to confirm the money, what you guys want to do, because I am getting ready to submit the application to the state. For FY25, we were able to apply for up to $280,000, which we're pretty pleased about. We're normally at $225 pre-pandemic. And, it's been all over the board since then, and we've been blessed to have more than the $225 for the last 3 years. This year, right now, we had $250,000. So there has been some changes and some things going on, and why I sent you guys 2 options. In the past, you guys have done some print as well, which was the outdoor guide. The outdoor guide is sadly no more. So we had a great partnership with them and been working with them forever, and they offer us the same rate, and you guys had to add in that. We usually did the fall ad for Osage Beach. I got contacted about 2 months ago. There's a new company that took over the company who owned that, and they decided to do away with outdoor guides, so we couldn't even finish our contract for this year. Yours already ran, so you're good. So we just went with another publication. So that's why there's not a print ad publication in your 2 options for this coming year. In the past, you guys have done some search engine marketing and retargeting, and then billboard creative. We do have 4 billboards. We have 2 in Kansas City, 2 in St. Louis. Only 3 of those do we co-op. 1 of them we do not co-op because of a different company. And we've always promised you guys 2 creatives on that, but we've always given you more than that this year. Right now, we just started running it again in March, and you guys have 3 creatives running. And so what I did for your option number 1 is I took that $300, it was an outdoor guide because that was kind of a cheap date for a print ad, and we put that in retargeting. And your retargeting runs February through May, so for this year it just started running like last month. And then also too, we gave you guys probably about 3 or 4 years ago, I think it's when I first came and presented to you guys the first time, we created a free landing page for you guys off of Fun Lake, because you guys, we get over 1.2 million visitors a year. And I think this past year you guys had close to 50,000 visitors just to your page. So that's also part of both options. Option 2 that we're gonna mention to you is to continue with search engine marketing, which is $12,000. And then we added geofencing for 3 months for $10,000, as well as leaving the billboard creative. If you guys are not familiar with geofencing, and I know Heather mentioned it too for Bike Fest, geofencing is when you target a certain area or a certain event. Like Heather mentioned Bike Fest, so they geofence other bike festing events. We geofence other lakes. We geofence a lot of wedding shows, like the big wedding shows in Chicago. The brides-to-be, they're in the hall. We geofence that hall that's at, so they'll start getting up serves to have their wedding here at the lake. We geofenced other shows, travel, trade shows, like the RV, boat shows. We get a hold of the golf council and see what shows they're attending, and we try to target other golf shows that they're not out to get our golfers here. So you guys can pinpoint some stuff you might want to geofence. It could be Table Rock Lake, it could be Cumberland City, it could be some type of event to, a food truck event. If you guys are doing the food truck event this year, I'm not sure you are. But something like that, you can geofence that as well. And if you guys decide to go with that option, we'll just sit down and decide exactly what you guys want to geofence. It is a very successful marketing tool. And like I said, we use it quite a bit. As Heather mentioned, Bike Fest uses it as well. So those are the 2 options that we had proposed to you. We're open for other discussions, but let me know if you guys have any questions on those 2.
All right, thank you. Board, comments or questions? Alderman Ross.
So the one question I'll ask you is do you recommend geofencing or the other? If it was your money, how would you spend it? Because it seems very intriguing, but I don't know that we have the expertise to tell you where we want to geofence, to be quite honest.
Well, I would say for us it's geofencing, which is why we recommend it. It has been a very successful marketing tool for us. It's something that we can easily track to make sure it's performing the way we want it to perform, and provide you with that data. So that would be our suggestion.
Okay. Well, I appreciate the partnership. It's always been a great partnership, and trust your judgment. And so I'd lean that way, but I'll let everybody else to take their shot if they'd like.
Alderman Rucker.
Well, if I understand the
fencing,
whatever that techie stuff is, it sounds neat. And now I know why the heck my phone does what it does when I'm at certain places.
I know, it's Big Brother.
At least I understand it. But I would be interested in us getting at, and if it's possible to hone in on those people that are at the, and I don't know what conventions, I'm looking at Carrie, that could help us out here from a planning standpoint. Where do these guys and gals get together at to decide where they're going to build their next plaza, and where they're going to build this, where they're going to build that? You know, those kinds of conventions would be nice to kind of hone in on.
ICSC in Las Vegas?
Yeah, those are the
We can do that.
places. Those are the places would be nice. I mean, tourism, I realize, is what you're mainly doing, but we're also wanting to promote the city besides just the tourism standpoint of come live here, come build your factory here. And I don't know if that would be something that you could do any good with, but for my 2 cents, I'm in favor of moving forward, and that's just a thought.
Well, one thing I would suggest is if you want to, geofencing, we just did that. We had Nextsite with some economic development data, and we used geofencing for them to give us some data. Heck, we use geofencing in our time clock on our phone system, so people can. So if that's the route you want to take, because I know we're probably not going to solve all the world's problems tonight, then I agree. You guys are the experts, and then the next step is figure out the when, where, and that why, and then I can update the board.
Alderman Hoffman.
Well, I want to echo what Alderman Ross said. I think this is a very valuable partnership. We should always be working together, and I support your judgment on it, and I just think it's important because, we might need to partner up and work on some stuff in the future. So I think that we should trust you now and keep this partnership steaming along.
We appreciate that.
Alderman Ross.
I motion to approve option 2.
All right, we have a motion to approve option 2. We have a second?
Second.
Alderman Rose. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
Thank you. We're pretty excited about the next marketing year. We have our highest marketing budget to date of $2.8 million coming up because of the great years we've had here at the lake. And we're getting ready to shoot some new TV commercials as well.
Legina, I actually remember the very first contract we had with Marketing Partnership, and it has been pushing maybe 13 or 15
Okay.
even years. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank
Thank you, and you guys might as well stick around, we're almost done.
Most people at the end I've ever seen, I think.
All right, next we have a discussion on Osage Beach population signs. You might as well throw that in tonight.
I say we
yeah.
have a
Oh, might as well. I'm going to say a few words. I know Alderman Rucker, we have been discussing this back and forth, you know, trying to figure out the mystery. If anybody had noticed, all our population signs, and I count that we have 7. What did I put in here? We have 7 current signs, egress and ingress outside the city. And if you've been paying attention, they're all different. So Kevin Rucker, who pays attention to details like Gina, figure out why we can't get our signs up to date. And here we've got all this stuff. So come to find out, I know you can read the agenda and I made some bullet points, is, you know, with the changing of several design guidelines and sign criteria, the shorter answer is MoDOT's not doing it no more. It's not part of their criteria anymore, and they're not going to remove them till their end of life. We have no idea if they're going to stand for 100 more years. We can cross that bridge and get them to take it down, probably, whatever. But if it is important for us to have population signs, there's certain criteria. So I'm not going to speak for Alderman Rucker, but is it important for the city to want the population signs at the city limit signs, because they now no longer can be on the sign? So if it is, then let us figure out the best way to do it. Public Works, it's minimal cost. We create sign faces in-house. It's minimal cost. The problem we're going to have to find is, do you want to go through the roles and responsibility contract to ask permission for MoDOT, which I'm kind of off public, been told you can ask, but it's probably gonna be no, but that's the route you want to take. Or is there even any areas that's not MoDOT right away that would make sense to have a population sign? So there may be a lot of variables that this don't make sense. We actually have one sign that's in our right of way, and Zach's the one that told me that, over by Pistols Plus, happens to be in our right of way. So at least we have one we know we can put a new sign, take it off of the city limit sign. So we just need direction. If it's something that's important, we'll find a way to get it done where possible.
All right, Alderman Rucker.
Yes, since I was the one who brought this forth. So first thing, you're telling me that you believe that would we ask MoDOT to take them signs down that are there and put up our own, and we maintain, they're just putting on their post that they're going to tell us no?
I wish I had the email and I would actually quote the MoDOT email I got, but
I want that email because
Yeah.
I'm going to be talking to some state representatives and senators about this is crap.
he was just indicating what he is seeing go through. He said likely you'll be told no, but because they're still also trying to figure out the interpretation of what they can or cannot do, we might be used as a, you know, let's try it and see and create more rules. So I hate to say it's mine. It was just like, hey, this is what I'm seeing, this is what I'll think, but if that's the past, this is how you do it, so.
Well, for my vote, I would like to, number one, have an official denial from MoDOT before, and even before then, I'll go ahead and start making my contacts with some of our state reps and representatives and senators, and this is terrible. I mean, MoDOT's refusing to do that and won't even let us use the posts that have been there. Anyway, and I think the cost is minimal if we can use their post. If we're not, one way or another, I think we should do it. But even if the board chooses not to, I'm still going to move forward with the fact that MoDOT is creating that situation.
Yeah, I think first and foremost, if you feel it's important that we maintain and have city limit signs, then that's one direction. Second direction, we will figure out the when, where, and how. I know as far as they cannot be installed on the same city limit sign post, but they can be new signs. And that's where the roles and responsibility contract can be pursued to get the city limit signs or population signs, but they will have to be not on the city limit sign. I know I'm making it probably more complicated than it's worth.
You're dealing with MoDOT.
But first and foremost, if it's important that the city wants the population signs at our main ins and out, which is 7 areas, that's the first thing we need to know. Second, we will find a way to do it and figure out what unique area in which way. That's kind of consensus. This really is just on for discussion. I just need to hear consensus to pursue getting this done.
Alderman Hoffman.
I think it looks pretty silly that we've got 7 different signs that look 7 different ways. No, that's got about 10,000 things that are more important than this. So how about we just ask forgiveness and not permission?
I didn't want to say that publicly.
I said it publicly because I mean, honestly, if Modell wants to come down
Eagle
and
objects to
argue.
that, and you just said it on a recording.
Oh, well, sorry about that, Cole. It's been a long night. But I mean, seriously, I'd like to get some uniformity with our signs. So if they're going to tell us we can't do it, that's one thing. But if they're just suggesting and sending some emails, let's just move forward somehow.
So it sounds like it's important.
Sorry, I wanted to clarify that. I just want to
Why
move
don't we
forward.
just ask them and get them to tell us no? And then,
Like I said, if
That's
it's
what I was trying
important
to say,
want 'em,
Cole.
that's the next step. But
Any
we were
other
not gonna.
Alderman Osteen.
I'm all for continuity with all of our signage for the city of Osage Beach. I'm not a supporter or big fan of the population side of it.
What?
The population numbers as part of the signage. I mean, does that really affect or really matter to this community? I mean, the city of Osage Beach is 4,445 residents, according to some of the signs that I see. But we have 30,000 condominium units. So does the population really equate into what this area is about? I mean, I don't understand the reason why we have to have this printed number, which fluctuates yearly, and actually weekly, monthly, et cetera.
Every 5 years.
Why we want to spend money, okay, well then every 5 years having to replace these signs because now the population census has changed. I'm all for the uniformity and the city of Osage Beach signs, just I don't see the need for population numbers on there. That's just me personally.
All right.
Well, that's why we're here.
Yep. Any other comments on this discussion item? Gina, do you have what you need?
I think so. Actually, I'm just gonna dump it back over to Zach after I got my part done.
Very good. All right. Move on to department list. Right back at you, Gina.
Okay, well, I sent out an email. I'd heard from majority of you for the strategic planning. I know it's hard to be thinking, we're thinking of July, but if we don't get stuff on the calendar, it's hard to organize everybody's schedules. So I apologize, I'm a planner to a craziness, to pre-plan ahead, but I appreciate that. And with that being said, if we want to have another workshop or work session specifically for water and sewer, I think that's a great idea. Again, I'll get an email out requesting some blocks of week. I will probably try to work myself backwards because, I did hear a couple comments about transparency. There is no part of this process that has not been transparent to the public at every step. Now, there are working papers and Excel and note sheets that I work on, and those are my working papers. But as far as if you feel that I have not given you enough data then let me know, because I always will provide data. So if is there information that the board has not had enough information to make a decision, then I will fix what I know. So to prepare maybe a few more informational sheets that might help the public, I am happy to do that. So I need some time to prepare on that. So I'll get an email out. Anything you want to see, and again, anything you feel has not been transparent enough for the board to make a decision, please let me know and we will make that happen. So email me that, but I'll get you an email out requesting that, and that will help us be prepared for you guys to make a decision on philosophy of your rates and financial decisions on how you want to tackle those things. Other than that, the next MML thing coming up, which I think is really important in June, is the elected officials training. It'll be the registrations will be out soon, and you'll be hearing me about that. I know we'll have a new alderman coming in, and I will reach out and get that set up. But I encourage even the current alderman to do that. There's topics that we don't deal with all the day and all the time, and they go over them. So it can be very important to you, and I'll get that information out. And that, I believe that's it.
All right, thank you. Assistant City Administrator Mike Welty.
Thank you, Mayor. I do have a couple of things I want to share with the board. Some really exciting news. I already emailed it to the board earlier in the week, but it has been such a long time. We worked so hard to get the Parkway extension to where we are. It was bid out. It's already been bid out by the state of Missouri, and it's already
Hit our website.
and it's electronically available on our website. I believe it'll be in the paper next week. So it's been a long time coming for this cost share project, but we are moving forward with Parkway Extension. Bidding is out. And hopefully sometime in the next 45 days, we'll be bringing prospective construction bids to the board for their review. Obviously, this is a project that we are partnering with MoDOT, so they have a say in that as well. But looking forward to getting those bids and getting them in front of the board. The second thing I want to mention, I want to go back to the panel project that Zach had presented earlier. And I just want to give kudos to Zach and Nathan, Nathan Earp and Zach Wilbur. They saved $131,000 from what was budgeted on the Rockway panel. So you got some people over at Public Works that are working hard to try and find ways to save money for the city. And they've done a good job with that. So I just want to make that publicly known, how much they try to get things, the prices on things brought down, even after we bring you a budget. And last but not least, I do want to share with the board that I did move my office back over to City Hall as of today. You may remember back in July, I was sent over to Public Works as your interim Public Works operations manager. And it was a very eye-opening experience for me. It's not the first time I've been there, obviously, but I can tell you from spending as much time as I did over there and helping Zach when he was the foreman and even now as the operations manager and helping all of the other people over there, that you have a very, very hardworking crew over there. You've got a great group of guys, and they do a wonderful job for you. And I would challenge any of you to spend a day in Public Works and see what some of these guys do on a daily basis. There's no doubt in my mind that they work as hard as they possibly can for the city, and I think that it's just important that as I kind of leave that building and come over to City Hall, that I say thank you to them. So that's all I have.
Well, thank you. Mike was a little disappointed when he found out that the new rule that prohibited Cubs apparel and things in his office, so.
Yeah, we're having a bonfire out front, right? Nice.
City Clerk.
I do have one thing. I just want to let everybody know that if you feel like you're not being transparent, you can always sunshine request anything. Everything is sunshine requestable. All you gotta do is get online, print out a form, send it to me, and anything is always open, and I can get that for any information that anybody wants. So remember, if you don't feel like you're getting the information you need, sunshine request it, and I'll be more than happy to get you any information that's always available. We're always open for any information. That's all I have.
Thank you. Lieutenant O'Day.
I don't have anything.
You sure?
Chief didn't leave me with anything. And I
we
don't
got
have
time.
Chief told me not to let him talk. So.
Building official Ron White.
I'll just echo Lieutenant O'Day. I have nothing. Thank you.
Nice.
Airport, Ty.
Nothing, sir, thank you.
All right. Zach, Public Works.
For me either, thank you.
Parks, Eric Gregory.
Yes, Mayor. Very quickly, just want to give an update. The Parks Department's been very hardworking preparing the parks and our fields for the season with our new partnership with Ballparks National, working very closely with them, and I anticipate a successful season. Also want to let the board know that as part of the park improvement projects, we recently started on the disc golf course in City Park, and we hope to have that completed by midsummer. We may utilize the inmate crew from the street department. And just a reminder to everybody that the 2024 Osage Beach Easter egg hunt is scheduled for next Saturday, March 30th from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. This is a family-friendly event, and we partner with Crossroads Church. So bring the kids out, free hot dogs, face painters, balloon animals, photos with the Easter Bunny, and Easter egg hunt for ages 2 to 12 on our ball fields with 35,000 Easter eggs. And there are going to be 2 golden eggs per age group with the chance to win a new bicycle. So come on out.
Thank you. Michael Ray, Human Resources.
In the interest of time, I don't have a lot. I want to thank the board for coming to the employee appreciation dinner last Friday. I know it wasn't as well attended as past events, but it was good to have the Alderman show. Thank you.
Thank you. City Treasurer, Carrie Bell.
Yes, Mayor and Board of Aldermen. Just a quick update. We received a check from the county yesterday for the Deerbergs pilot property tax payment, which is the earliest that payment's been received in several years. And we also have it in time that it'll actually calculate into the May 1st note payment. So that will help speed that down. We haven't been paying on principal except in November in the past few years. So that's very helpful. Things are going the right direction with that.
All right, thank you. Carrie Patterson, City Planner.
Yes, Mayor, it's very exciting to hear about the extension that's going on west of town. A lot of exciting things going on the west side with the new sign. The extension, which opens up quite a bit of flexibility and some future things that we can do. And you all know that I'm an old sentimental, so I had to stop for a minute while we had that many citizens doing the Pledge of Allegiance in this room. It was a pretty awesome thing for me. But that's all I have. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, Alderman Rucker.
Yes, couple things. First of all, I don't know if the board has taken the opportunity to attend the educational sessions that are every Wednesday at 1 o'clock, Michael?
The financial webinars?
Yeah.
Yes.
1 o'clock. I couldn't remember. I'm still on Florida time and Missouri time, and because while I was down in Florida, I did watch them as well from the pool. But anyway, they are very educational. I've always felt like I am pretty intelligent and pretty well know what, when, and where about retirement stuff, and I picked up some things and thought it was very good. And also, they reiterated more than a couple times that if people, they gave the opportunity that if you have questions, et cetera, they gave where you people could contact their representatives and be able to get some one-on-one if that's what they need. So the program is very, very good. I know we have some folks that, at least some people that don't understand the program or don't feel it's the best program, even though I still do feel we are at doing the best. But I really, really think they should attend these sessions. They are good. And they do a good job of it. I wish these kinds of things were available back when I was earlier in my working career, and they're very good. So that's number one. Number two, April the 2nd, it's just a week and a half away, is election. And I hope everyone goes out and votes. There's a couple items on there that as a city, we just offer information, which is the user tax and the
Collector question?
yeah, the collector's questions, those two issues, those two proposals, or props. There's some aldermen and mayor and collector running, but we're all unopposed, so that's not a problem there. I support, as an individual, both of the propositions. And I ask you, if you don't support them, please give me a call or let me know, and I'll be happy to tell you why I do. If you don't understand them, I'll be happy to help you to understand them. I have an email. I just did an email blast today to everybody in my little world. My wife did an email blast, and it's based on the information, the educational information that our city provided to help you understand. I believe that you need to be educated. Hopefully, once you get educated, you will support both of them. But if you vote no, at least you can understand why you voted no. So I would be happy to send that out to you, be happy to text to you, be happy to visit with you, because I'd like for you to be informed at the April 2nd election. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I'm going to back up a little bit. I missed Dave Van Leer and our city attorney. So Dave Van Leer?
I have nothing.
All right. Paul Bradbury.
I guess I have two quick things. First, I want to say thanks to Mike Ray for putting on a great employee appreciation dinner. Really enjoyed that, so thank you very much. And second, I'm mostly dressed up for Alderman Morose, but I also did have court this morning. The city did have a very good day in court, and if you'd like a description of why, talk to me off the dais. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Hoffman.
I too really enjoyed the dinner. Mike, it was really well done. Had a good time. Food was good, really good. The transparency thing that came up earlier, I just want to say to the public that everyone's been working hard on this sewer issue, and the transparency, at least from my chair, has been top notch. I'm sure the public at times can't find some stuff they're looking for, so I think it's good that we try to do our absolute best with transparency. But from my seat, I've seen that only be an A from the staff. And lastly, I just want to thank everyone that showed up tonight. I know we myself, and from what I heard from everyone else that I talked to on this board, that we were expecting about half that. And it really makes an impact when you show up and you voice your opinion. And this is a complicated issue. It's not going to go away. It has got to get fixed. So I hope that we can just find a way to work together as citizens, staff, and board and mayor to find the absolute best solutions to this, and then trust our people to do a good job, which I know I 100% do. And that being said, that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Alderman Osteen.
Just a few quick things. Just want to point out some upcoming events real quick. March 26th is the Mayor's Volunteer Appreciation Dinner. It's our chance to basically thank all those individuals that serve on the various committees for the city. April 2nd, Happy Easter, everyone, since we will not be meeting until after that. Easter, and then April 2nd, Election Day. Everyone, please get out and vote. We can't stress enough how much every vote counts. We've seen many elections where basically a handful of votes decides things one way or the other. So every vote counts. Other than that, I'm all talked out tonight.
Thank you. Alderman Rose.
I'd like to echo Alderman Hoffman and what he's just been saying, and we do appreciate everybody's input. We don't always like to say what we have to say, but we do our best to try to come to the right solution to make it right. Anyway, other than that, Happy Easter to everybody, and if anybody's interested, it's fun to get into Fantasy League for this March Madness, and I did. So.
Good luck. All right. Alderman Ross.
First of all, I want to recognize Rob Long, and please, Zach, if you will. There was come up off Passover or onto Passover, dead deer laying there right in the middle, right on the edge of the road. It was probably MoDOT, but I called Rob and he's like, "Sure, I'll take care of it." And it was gone in no time. So, great job. There was an opportunity, if you read the employee survey, for more recognition. So I think we need to make a point of making sure that just some of those little things are recognized as much as we can. Secondly, I have the distinct pleasure of introducing Celeste Barella. Celeste, would you stand up real quick? A lovely young lady that I've worked with Rotary on many community events, and she's our alderman candidate in Ward 2. So Celeste's here. Thank you for coming, and welcome to the fun. And she got a lot to learn, or she got to learn a lot, I think, tonight. So anyway, and then lastly, I'm not sure the best way to go about it, but Cole's going to look into it, but the food trucks need to come back on, okay, to be discussed again. So, however that happens, whatever I need to do to help that, let me know.
I promise to get Robert's Rules of Order out.
Thank you. That's all I have.
All right. Now everybody knows why they had deer at Public Works the other day. Yeah. No, I just have a couple of things. The one thing about being last is a lot of people always steal my thunders, but I just want to echo a few things. That the people that showed up tonight, I really do appreciate them. A lot of times people say that and they don't really mean it, but that's one thing about city government that, if we don't hear from people, then things can't change. And that's probably one of the reasons I'm sitting in this position right now. So we appreciate it. The board has heard you, and it's not us against you. We all work for the common good of the city, so we need to hear from you. So thank you so much for coming out. The volunteer appreciation dinner, look forward to seeing you next week. And then the only last thing is, and most aldermen have already said this, but I wrote a letter to the other thing with Gina's help. She gave me a lot of statistics, and then I just kind of did my little twist to it. But it went out to, I think, Lake Sun, Lake Mead, 2 or 3 different places. And it had to do with the 2 propositions that are on the ballot. And I, too, agree that both of them should be a yes. A lot of times when you go the legal mumbo jumbo that you got to put on a ballot is so confusing, you just don't vote because you don't understand it. So hopefully that what I put out there will tell you. And basically the proposition U is it's a use tax. It's not a double tax. You're not being overtaxed. You're not being charged a second time. Every time that you walk into a store here in Osage Beach, and I like to use the example Harmy's Cheese Store, you're going to be charged a 2% tax. And that money is going to be used, to pay for the things we need done here at the city. If you're going to go online or you're going to go out of state and order something in competition with Harmy's Cheese Store, you're not paying that 2%. And so the more internet sales that take place, the more out-of-state sales that take place, the less revenue we have as a city. And right now, it's estimated, it's very hard to estimate, but you're looking at about the tune of $335,000 a year with, as internet sales keep going up and up, those revenues are going to go down and down unless this is passed. So I do encourage you to put yes on that. The second ballot issue is you. And Brad, I know you're in the audience, so I hope you don't take offense to it. He's our collector right now. And several months ago, I said, I've not met our city collector. What do they do? And it was explained to me what back in 1959 when the city was established, the city collector would manage the money, they'd process bills, they would do all of the things that a city collector did as an elected position back then. And as we became bigger as a city, more professional as a city, we hired city attorneys, we hired city clerks, we've hired city treasurers, and they have taken on all those duties that the hired collector used to do, or the elected collector. But because of state statute, we have to either have them elected or appointed. And all the ballot question is, will you allow the board to appoint a city collector? The duties, and the duties would just be appointed to staff, and then we would not be paying an outside resource to do what the city already does. So for those reasons, I strongly urge everybody to vote yes on both of those. We have 3 aldermen and 1 mayor that are going to be running unopposed, and if you so feel, put a yes for them too as well, because they do a lot for this city. So go out and vote next Tuesday. And that's all I have. Unless you have any questions for me, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Hey, next to a budget.
3 hour meeting.
It has to be the longest regular board meeting in a long time. Except for a special workshop or a